Yo, what's up? You're gonna get the likes of. You're gonna give me a moment though. Yo, what's poppin' base? What's going on? Yo, what's up? I don't even know how to say your name. Thumbnail King. Yo, what's poppin'? It's Thumbnail King. I'm not gonna lie. I'm losing touch with my creativity. I'm reaching what is it? A creator's block or whatever. Come on, y'all gotta get the likes up, share, and repost. Let's try and get people up. Should I finish the new video first? At least like and comment on it. But yeah, maybe just finish it later since I'm already live. Actually, you can finish it now, or at least like watch like I would say 5 minutes. I assume we're not gonna get someone up that soon. You're gonna keep interacting. First, I already knew that Schmidt privately had admitted to being a theist. He was a closeted theist anyways for the past like at least 8 months. He's really always really been leaning theist. He was always identifying as agnostic and would be over charitable, sympathetic to what I would say is very bad arguments, and everyone in our circle had that impression. So, and he got toppled by the dumbest shit, like arguments for miracles. So, in all fairness, I don't care. People are
Good
acting like
morning.
losing Schmidt. Schmidt was technically, what's up? Was not even really that much on our side. Yeah, what's up? What do you got?
Yeah, you claim that there's no God, right?
The what?
There's no God, right? That's what you believe, right?
Right. W cope. How's that cope? Yeah, I don't believe in a god. Correct.
Hey.
You have an argument or
All
evidence
right.
God exists, or
Okay. Yeah. Actually, God exists because um, everything have a starting. So, do you think that this world will just pop out from nowhere without a creation and without anybody? You know. So, because even the world that we
it doesn't
live
matter
in,
what I
we
believe.
have
This is
people
a
who
question about
control it.
your
So, without
argument
the
God
people.
exists.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that God exists. That's why you and I, we are living in the world today.
Okay, but do you have an argument God exists? Like asserting God is the explanation for why we're here is
Yeah,
just
I
to
do. I do.
assume theism. All right. So what's the argument?
I don't understand. Let me just get it out. Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna drop him anyways. Y'all gotta get the likes up. If you wanna come talk on YouTube, join the Discord. The Discord's pinned. Um, so yeah, y'all should try and join. Get the likes up if anything. Guess it's not tracking, bro. That was a waste of time. I was about to drop him. I'm glad he left right on cue. That was not gonna go nowhere. If y'all want to talk on TikTok, obviously request up. Hopefully we don't need to wait too long. We got 40 people here already, so we should be able to get to 10K likes in 3-4 minutes. Can we do that? Y'all seriously got to double tap. Try and get someone up.
Yo,
Hey, what's up?
I got a question. So, like, I'm seeing a lot of TS running the fine tuning argument, right? So, I wanted to know, like, what's your opinion about it?
I think it's really bad. I mean, first, I think fine tuning is evidence against God. That's the first and foremost issue. But I don't think there is fine tuning, and I think it's really implausible there's fine tuning. I think it's really infeasible to prove fine tuning. But granted, there's fine tuning. What that offers me is seemingly confirmation for atheism, not theism. And even if I didn't argue that, I think it's explicitly evidence for atheism. Seemingly, anyone who runs the argument never can explain how theism generates the expectation. At best, I mean, they never actually have, even with the auxiliary commitments. But then they obviously assume those auxiliary commitments don't have independent justification. Then you could just do stalking horse, where you add those auxiliary commitments to naturalism, and then you just predict the datum. So then you can't have evidence for theism because it gerrymanders a type of theism, right? It's not a fair comparison because they build into God already a disposition for the good, and they think being disposed to the good predicts the existence of fine tuning. But then you could just have axiarchy, where the natural world has the disposition to the good. What they do is they illicitly build in the disposition for God but ignore it for naturalism. But theism doesn't assume God has any particular set of dispositions, so it's only fair we compare God with the disposition or the natural world with the disposition. And if neither independently predicts it, then all that's being done, all the work that's being done is by that dispositional property. So you couldn't even have evidence for theism. So it seems like the whole argument is just a complete flop.
So, you wouldn't say you're like begging the question on like the disposition for like God creating this universe?
What's question begging?
Like, they would say that God, without justifying why the reason that God created the universe, they just affirm it in the argument itself, right?
Well, they say that theism predicts the existence of a fine-tuned world because he's good. Now, there's a gap even between that. I don't even see how the goodness, God having the property of having, he has certain axiological dispositions, explains why he would be inclined to creating a world with good. That stuff always was unclear to me, and I've never seen a good explanation for how that is. But assuming that were true, it doesn't seem like we have good reasons to think if God existed, he would have the disposition for the good. And if we don't have that independent justification, then a naturalist can also just fairly assume of naturalism without independent justification. The natural world has that disposition.
By independent justification, are you just saying that they shouldn't like affirm what they believe is stating, or like they should have like an external view on their
A
own beliefs?
justification that if God existed, God would be good.
Yeah, but they can basically affirm this by their paradigm, right? I don't think this is like
Yeah, that's the point. There's not independent justification. Their paradigm assumes facts about the nature of God, but I could just assume facts about the nature of the world, that being it's disposed to the good. I could just say, but it's a part of my naturalist paradigm that axiarchy is true. That's not how that works. Sure, your paradigm admits of a disposition of the natural world where the natural world's disposed to the good, but it's possible the natural world doesn't have that property. So why am I to think if naturalism were true, it would have that property? Vice versa. Why am I to think if theism is true, God has the disposition for that thing? It's not enough to just say it's my view, right? Okay, it's your view. Is the view warranted?
Yeah, I get that. Okay, sure. Yeah, thanks for the response. I just wanted to have a nice day, bro.
You too, have a good one. All right, let's get blessed up here. I don't think we got no one on Discord. Of course not. If you want to talk on YouTube, join the Discord. Also, like, subscribe, and try and reach the gift goal people on YouTube. Yo, what's up?
Yo. So basically, if there's like no existence for like a separate entity or whatever that people would like refer to as God or whatever, what do you believe like the universe actually is. And this is just like me personally curious about like how you make sense of everything that we observe.
I don't. What are you asking?
I'm asking like, what do you basically like? Why is the? All right, oh, my bad. Okay, so like basically, this is an important question to talk about because there's certain institutions, there's systems, there's like big important like people that make important choices that are influenced by these what can often be pernicious beliefs. And so what do you think is like how do we as humans like rationally like how do we get rid of religion but like kind of people are scared of that, right? So then how do you do that with like I don't know, being able to like get people to go back to thinking logically and I don't know, be able to kind of like participate within society without needing the like the dogma and that stuff? Like how would you propose we do that?
I don't even know what you're asking. How do we get rid of religion? What?
Not like get rid of it, but like you're an atheist, right? So like
Yeah.
would you agree that like political systems, like choices that get made by people with institutional power should not be influenced by religion, right?
Yeah.
And so basically what I'm asking is like
topic though?
Basically like no one is going to be able to present any good evidence that God exists. Like we've already established that people are just going to keep pointing to these things that are just like everyone already kind of like takes for granted that we've already come to understand by means of like science and that stuff. And so there's like you can't really do much for these people besides like why are we still trying to get them to prevent evidence? Like why aren't we presenting things to like help them see the picture like different? Like
have a nice day. Yeah, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, that last guess was real trouble. But you're an atheist? You're an atheist?
Now, do you have an argument or evidence God exists?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Before I get there, it would really help if I could understand, like, have you always been an atheist, and what's your main motivation? Like, just
It's irrelevant.
very briefly. Is it lack of evidence? Is it?
It's irrelevant.
It's really not.
Of course it's irrelevant. You believe you have justification, so knowing my beliefs doesn't turn on your ability to communicate the justification. Couldn't you write your justification on paper?
But
Couldn't you write it on paper?
no,
So just
I could.
communicate.
But
Okay.
if I understand your motivation, it would
It's not
allow
a
me
matter
to
of whether
root
you're
it
interested
dust.
in doing so. I don't really care if you're interested in hearing my view. This is a matter of what's
I didn't
productive to
say the word
conversation.
interest.
We don't need the baggage. You just admitted that it's not necessary that you know my views. Oh my god. Y'all gotta get the likes
I've
up.
got a question, but I'm 13. It's just one quick question.
Yeah, then you can't be up here. Yeah, this live is shaping up to be garbage. Yo, what's up?
Hey, can I say anything, brother? Or I don't know if it's my turn. I'm trying to be respectful.
Well, you're up here. Of course, it's your turn.
All right, bro. You don't have to be kind of condescending like that, my dude. Respectfully, I was just trying to be respectful, bro. You don't got it.
Saying it's your turn because you're up here. Okay.
Well, it's your turn. The way you said it, bro, it's your tone, my boy. And I'm actually I'm defending your point. I'm on your side, but you know,
There's
it's all
four
good.
people on my side. Okay. Yo, y'all gotta interact for real. Can we get past 10K likes already and share and repost to try and get a serious person up here?
Yo, you're good.
Yeah, what do you got?
My argument against atheism is simple. The only hard evidence you guys got that God didn't exist is an evolution the theory of evolution.
No,
So
that's
if it's
not an
a
evidence.
theory
That
of
doesn't.
evolution, it's not hard facts.
No.
So your entire
No.
thing is based on a theory.
No. Why did you keep going if I said no every instance? Why would you keep talking as it like when you hear that you're mischaracterizing a position, don't keep talking buying into misinformed facts about my position. I already told you no. No, my view about atheism has nothing to do with evolution. Evolution has nothing to do with whether God exists. In fact, most people who believe in evolution also believe in God, as most scientists are proponents. Well, most scientists are proponents of theism, and evolution is a consensus in biology. But additionally, I don't like what? Evolution has nothing to do with theism. Theism is perfectly consistent with evolution. Most scientists believe in God and also believe in evolution. Evolution is not a reason in favor of believing in atheism. Perhaps there are people who think that I disagree, and I just don't share those reasons. That's not the only reason. There's dozens of arguments in philosophical literature for atheism. Most philosophers are not atheists because of evolution. Look, let's say evolution's false. How do we get God exists?
So is that your? Can you give me a reason for why you think atheism is the truth?
No, you're supposed to be giving an argument God exists. I can give you one. You could just look at the arguments atheists give instead of accusing atheists of giving an argument they don't, not bothering to look at what they say. Don't say that's the only argument. There's literally dozens, nearly 100 arguments probably in literature for atheism if you just bother to look at philosophy. So accusing, even if you thought those arguments are unsound, to accuse them of having one argument is just explicitly false. In fact, that's seemingly no argument for atheism. Perhaps there's certain philosophical inferences, like we can explain the formation of life theistically neutral, and it's like unnecessary to buy into theism if we have a sufficient story for those types of events. That's some motivation for atheism. Perhaps that's something some atheists do, but that is by no means, if for even the people who run that, seemingly their main motivation, or even probably considered a strong motivation to believe in God. I mean, in atheism. So you're just saying nonsense. And yeah, don't just start like asking me because you say false stuff about atheist reasons to then give you an atheist reason. You're here to present an argument for God. Do you have one or no? Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Y'all gotta keep interacting everywhere. If you want to talk on YouTube, join the Discord. Also get the likes up and subscribe, obviously, on YouTube. We're trying to reach 10K on YouTube. And feel free to reach the gift goal. Trying to reach the gift goal. You didn't connect. I didn't see what your name was. You could feel free to re-request anyone who doesn't connect. Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? Okay, so yes, I'll argue that God exists. Okay, so this is I go around listening to people and to the things that's going on. I believe that God is in how we relate to God and how He exists is through us because of atoms, right? So God isn't a person, right? I don't believe God is a person because that's social construct. Well, I do believe God is a yeah. So I believe that God is a atom. And I know people like, how could God be an
Alright, well,
atom,
then
right?
that's already not what we're here to talk about, unfortunately.
Is it?
No,
Wait,
yeah,
but
we're
I believe
using...
God
Yeah,
exists.
but God is definitionally, at least by the sense of the word God used in this context, to be a person. He's essentially a disembodied immaterial mind. So if you believe God's an atom, well, of course, atheists could believe in atoms. That's not the traditional use of the word theist, and that's very clearly not what I'm arguing against, whether atoms exist. I'm
So
arguing
you're
against the colloquial
you're
account of theism. So
So you're
I don't
arguing
believe God's a
against
person. I'm not even here to talk to you. Like, if
you're
you define
you're
God as
ar-
your left sock, then I'm not interested.
you're arguing with the social construct of God, then, right?
If
The
that's what you
society
think
of
that is,
God.
sure. Okay.
So
Yeah, I guess. That is with all these idiosyncrasies. People just define God as whatever they want, and then they want to debate. God is consciousness itself. God is the universe. God is atoms. God is the quantum wave. Bro, can we like lock in? If you don't know what God means, then don't come up here to talk. Don't put.
Why are you
Don't just.
atheist, huh? Why are you atheist? Who
I tried
created
explaining
the
this
heavens
to
and
you
earth?
last time, and then you just like crashed out and left. Are you here to really listen, or are you just here to troll?
Yeah, really to listen. I never ran away from you. Your
You
atheism
did
is
yesterday.
completely false. When? Show me
Okay.
the video. Show me. Don't run.
You literally left the live yesterday when you
Who
asked, like, do I
created
believe?
the universe? Who
I'm gonna
my
give the same
grandfather?
answer. The question of who is loaded. I don't believe there's a who. To say who is to assume a person is responsible as the explanation for the universe. I don't think the universe has an explanation simplicator, and I further
There is an
most
existence.
definitely do
There is
not
an
believe a
existence.
person is there. Yeah, the universe exists. I agree, but I don't believe it's explained and further explained by a mind.
And who brought it into existence, huh?
That just assumes the thing I just explained I don't buy into. You're not listening, buddy. I don't believe there's a who brought it into existence. I don't think it was brought into existence at all.
You don't think the universe was brought into existence?
Correct.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious, yes.
So what
What you
is
could
this
do is you could
planets, the
just
stars? What is this? What do you see? You see a cloud? An illusion?
what?
What are you saying, man? Do you hear yourself what you're saying?
Yeah, but I don't understand what you're saying. If I don't believe the universe is created, then the clouds are an illusion? What are you talking about? No, the clouds are real,
The
and
stars, the
the universe
universe,
is
the
not
Milky
created
Way,
by
the
mind.
galaxy, everything. Who brought it into existence?
That's repeating the
The
question you know
dinosaurs. Who
I've already
brought it?
responded to. No who. There is no who. No one brought it into existence.
So how did it come into existence? Huh?
I already said several times now, I don't believe it came into existence.
You don't make sense. So it's an illusion now? What you're saying is an
How does it not
illusion?
make? What doesn't make sense about it? No.
Somebody
How does
must
it
have brought it
follow?
in.
Let me ask you this: how does it follow if it didn't come into existence? Then it's an illusion. How does that follow? Did God come into existence? No, God didn't come into existence. Okay, so God's an illusion. That doesn't follow. So why would you do that for me if you know it doesn't follow?
Because there
Then I could
must
just
be
say
a
that's
necessary.
that of you. No,
Let
but
me
look,
talk.
if
Be
it were
quiet.
true as
Be quiet,
something.
atheist. Let me talk. Let me talk.
Okay, this guy's a troll. I'm just gonna move on. That's cringe. Y'all gotta keep interacting. Let's try and get someone up for real. Get to 15k likes, bro. Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
I've never been on one of these before, but I just wanted to say, if you don't believe in it, you have to seek it. Otherwise, you won't find him. Like it.
Okay.
That's how you
No one
you
cares about that
experience
though.
it. Like once upon a
Okay,
time,
thanks for that.
I didn't believe in anything, right?
Okay,
Until
we
I
don't care
had my
about this,
own
please.
experiences.
Okay, don't care. I already said this several times now. Just try and be a
Hey?
little more focused. Yeah, we're not here to talk about that. What types of endeavors you have to do to get connected with God. We're asking for arguments and evidence. So if you don't have that and you're here to just
There is
suggest,
a lot of evidence, though. There is a lot
okay,
of
so then just
evidence.
give that instead of giving what you just gave, which
Well,
doesn't
there's
engage
people
with the
that have had
topic.
MPDs. If you look at that, there's a lot of evidence. I've had my own experiences.
NPDs?
Yep, MPDs. They're
What is
proof
that?
that there is a God, definitely a God.
What is NPD?
Have you listened to MPDs? People that have died and
You mean
what they've seen.
NDEs?
MPEs, near
What is
death experiences.
That's NDE. Near N?
Yeah,
death,
NDEs, yeah.
D? Okay. And how is near-death experiences a reason to believe God exists?
Well, I've had my own experiences. You've got to ask. You've got to seek. If you
Oh my god. Are we serious? Can we get like people who understand the context of this type of conversation? Why are you telling me to come, like, go seek? Bro, this is you
Yo,
giving arguments or evidence. Yo, what's up?
what's up, bro? How are you?
I'm alright. What do you got?
My question, honestly, while I was waiting, you kind of refuted almost both of my points. You know, I'm just gonna throw morality. Have you ever done that today?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about morality, and I'm not even gonna waste my time talking about objective morality because what the hell is even that? So my point is, how do you guide yourself as somebody who doesn't believe in any type of deity? How do you guide yourself when it's come to morality? How do you measure what is good and what is not?
I'm not sure what that matters, but I'm not really sure what your question is. If the question's what's my normative ethics, I actually don't know what my normative ethics is, and I couldn't really care less. Because I just don't take a substantial view about the ontology and nature of moral sentences and moral properties such that I'm really motivated to investigate my normative ethics. I don't even think that changes with theism. Philosophically speaking, moral arguments are considered the second worst argument for the existence of God, agreed upon by both atheists and theists and agnostics and other positions in academic philosophy. You can look at Phil Paper 2020 for the rankings of arguments for theism. Most theists even believe the argument's impotent, but what does it matter how I guide myself? What does that have to do with that God exists? Like, imagine I just have no idea how to morally guide myself. That's not a reason to now think God exists.
My point was, while we're alive on this earth, the entire point of coming to contact with God, coming to know God, is to guide us on how to live our lives and how to interact with our environment.
Okay, but that's
So,
your view,
like,
and what would I care if that's your
yeah,
view?
let me land it first.
Also, yeah, if
And
you're eating, can you stop? Because there's like a lot of smacking and shit.
I was eating though, but I'm not eating right now. I was eating right before I came here though.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how do you even tell, bro? I stopped eating right when you accept me though. Damn.
That smacking's happening, but okay.
Yeah, like I got something in my throat, like I was trying to clear my throat. So the point I was trying to make is, once you get to know God, the fruit of that, okay, the fruit of that is in how you get yourself, to behave and conduct yourself around yourself, your environment, the people around you, and basically judge what type of actions you want to do, what you want to take, what kind of decisions you want to do, and that's what I would say it would help you to do that. Okay, so the entire point of you having God is that this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this would prove God's existence. I'm saying that it would
do
be
you
the
have
fruit
like an
of.
argument? Okay, sure, that's your view. I don't see what's the purpose of wasting my time telling me that. In fact, I'm already aware that you believe God provides you moral guidance. I don't care. I mean, it's not like you can give arguments for the declarations God makes are in fact morally correct. You don't really understand the meta ethics, I presume. In fact, it doesn't even provide you normative ethics. Religions generally don't give you an ethics. At best, they give you a really naive one. But whether or not you think there's some non-trivial degree of moral guidance presented theism, why would I care? That's not like an argument God exists. Seems like an appeal to consequences to say because a consequence of believing in theism is that I can conduct myself morally correct, therefore God. It's just like a non sequitur and appeal to consequences. I don't care if that's true. You have like an argument or evidence God exists? That's what I'm asking for.
Do I have what?
An argument or evidence that God exists. It's on screen.
Yeah, like right before when I got here, as I said, like both of the talking point I want to talk about is already discussed, like talking point,
Okay.
like
So you don't
experience
have
and stuff.
anything?
That's why I didn't want to repeat again, because
So
you
you
just
don't have
had that
anything?
conversation.
Sure, but do you have anything you could present me? Instead of telling me you had points that I've already extinguished talking to previous guests, I'm asking you if you have a point you can offer, because all you're doing is asking questions that seem uninteresting. They're just not relevant to the topic. Unless
Huh.
there's that fallacious implication that I pointed out. I'm not sure if that is so, but then if that's the case, then it's just erroneous reasoning. And what does it matter if believing in Christianity provides you moral guidance? How does that get you to God exists?
Oh yeah, yeah. So you're strictly on like A leads to B, which B is like discovering God or finding the proof that God exists, right? Like if you're strictly on the first half of that conversation, I don't think I have any talking point, honestly. So yeah, I don't
All right,
want to
well,
waste your
thanks for
time.
coming up, then. All right, well, thanks for coming up. I'm gonna move to the next person. Y'all gotta keep interacting, by the way. I'm gonna take after F on TikTok. I'm gonna take the next person on Discord. Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on? What do you got?
It's nice. English is not my native language, so I'm sorry if we have a barrier about that. So the point I'm going to make is a bit scientific. So the thing is, according to thermodynamics, energy cannot created nor destroyed, right?
Okay.
So the thing is, the Big Bang theory says that there was an energy, then it collided and stuff, atoms happened, right?
No.
So the thing is, there was an energy before everything, right?
I don't know what that even means.
To put this on other words, energy needs energy to be a thing, right?
Energy isn't a thing. Energy isn't real. Energy is like a mathematical type of fiction that's useful for scientific ritual. It's not like a real thing in the world. This is like a common misconception with people who talk about science is they use something called reification of energy, where they treat energy as something real, but that's not how science treats them. Energy as. Energy is just a measure of work in a system. It's like a type of mathematical diagnosis of a physical structure. It's not a real thing. Energy doesn't exist. Energy doesn't create stuff. Matter is not a form of energy. All of that is like misinformation. People have to communicate science better, because I don't know where people get these stuffs from, because out of the wazoo wrong. But we can assume this stuff, though it's incredibly scientifically grossly inaccurate. What is that doing for God? So energy is real. Energy can create energy. There's a point of energy before the Big Bang or whatever it is. Okay, how do you get a God there?
So the thing is, energy cannot be a thing without energy, right? So there was an energy in the start of the
Energy can't be a
thing.
thing without energy? What does that even mean?
According to thermodynamics, energy just converts. It
What does
doesn't
that
get
mean,
created
though?
nor destroyed.
Well, that's in a closed system, and that's not even true globally. But okay, what does that have to do with? Okay, sure, that's not even right, but okay.
Okay, bro. I cannot express myself in English, so sorry. Goodbye.
Okay, well, thanks for coming up. At least you put in the effort. We'll take F, and then we're gonna move to the next guy in Discord. Y'all gotta keep interacting, by the way. Get the likes up, share, repost. Yeah, what's up, F?
Hello?
Yeah,
So basically, I'm a fellow agnostic. I've left Islam 6 months ago, and someone made up not a good point, but a point that kind of opened my eyes out, my ears to a different perspective, and I was wondering if you can give me an argument that I can give to them.
Okay.
Okay, so the argument that they made is that in life, everything has an equal and opposite force. For hunger to exist, gluttony has to exist. For darkness to exist, light has to exist. For evil to exist, good has to exist. For someone to kill someone, life has to exist. For someone to go through pain, there has to be happiness. For someone to be in love, there's also going to be hate. Everything in life has an equal and opposite force. So the argument that they made is that some evil things in this world, for example, like rape and all these things, are not, like a normal human cannot get to that level, in the sense that they're saying that the devil in many ways has been proven to be real along this world. So if everything in life has an equal and opposite force, they're saying that if the devil exists, God exists. So I just want to see what is in a way that I can like concisely answer that argument as an agnostic myself, because I
It's
haven't
one of
been
the
able to
most
like.
garbage arguments I've heard.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't know why you would
there's no way
believe
I
in
can.
this
There's
equal
no way I can
opposite
explain it.
reaction.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't see
Like,
any reason to believe in this reaction principle. But if that were true, I
mhm.
don't. Where are you getting there's a devil and therefore correspondingly a god? What?
Oh, another question. Were you born like in a religious family, or is it something that came as like atheist came after?
Okay, well that's just like a pivot. But yeah, I was religious. I don't know how that matters. Okay, and he just left. All right. All right. Well, we're just gonna take the next guy in Discord. Today's guests are magnifique, bro. It's just brilliant. Getting the really good heavy hitters. You gotta keep interacting, please. At least we're getting a lot of people, so we're just like zooming through them. Because no one is doing anything. Pretty much everyone's just asking questions that are incoherent. That's about it. No arguments, no evidence yet. Yo, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what do you got?
I just didn't know if I had to be on my Discord app.
No, you don't have to be. But what do you got?
Okay,
Yeah,
it
evidence
works
or
like a
arguments
phone.
gotta
I'm
go?
sorry, dude. I'm old.
Hello?
I'm still here. I just figured that guy was asking the
Sure,
question, so.
took forever to respond. I'm confused. Is there a delay?
Yeah, there is a little bit of a delay. Like, I still hear you talking to that one dude
Yeah,
that
it's
was
really
talking
bad.
about
Then
agnostics.
I'm gonna need to move you down. Your internet's terrible then. I don't think that's manageable. I'll take the next guy in Discord then, because we had like 5 people on TikTok and they just left almost simultaneously. Y'all gotta keep interacting for real. We're not even at 15k likes. What are y'all doing? We got over 100 people on TikTok alone. Y'all gotta seriously double tap, share, repost. Try and get better guests for real. Is this guy connected? Yeah, what's up?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
Awesome.
What do you got?
So for me, the greatest evidence for the existence of God, it would be the cosmological argument. I know you've heard of it, but
Okay.
obviously, well, the time, space, and matter continuum, right? If they all three come to existence at exactly the same time, then something outside of time, space, and matter had to put it into existence. So if it puts it into existence, it implies a
Okay,
will
there's
and a mind
a
to
lot.
reason.
A lot of this is just completely confused. This sounds like the stage 2 Kalam. I don't know what cosmological argument you're talking about. That at best seems like a stage 2 Kalam, which is also a very kind of naive rendition. But I don't. First, for space, time, and matter, I think you said, to come into existence assumes space time is real, which most philosophers don't, and there's not really compelling arguments for that. So space time can't come into existence if it doesn't exist. Now, whether matter comes into being, it's not very controversial, matter exists. Whether matter comes into being, we have strong evidence to not think that's true, given our induction of substances don't come into being or fail to exist. When we see things endure causation, endure cause, what we don't see is new substance come into being. When we take the material substance of a tree and I cause it to become a house, the same existing matter is being repurposed. I'm transforming already existing substance. So we don't have evidence of new matter coming into being, which is ex nihilo causation, which is purported by theism. So we have direct evidence against matter coming to existence. For space, time, and matter to come into existence, space, time, and matter have to be real. And even then, it seems opaque how we, assuming space, time is real, it's opaque how we even establish that that has a cause. Further, if it has a cause, it doesn't have to be placed there. It could have a non-intentional cause. To say it's placed there just does explicitly assume there's a mind behind it. So it's unclear.
Right, but there was
if we
a state of
assume space-time and matter
non-existence to a
has.
state of existence,
I don't
right?
grant you
So
that.
something
No.
outside of something
Why
outside
would
of
we believe that?
matter, like something immaterial,
Hold
would
on. I
have
said
to
no.
create matter because matter
No.
can't create itself,
Did you hear
right?
me? Can you hear me? No, I said no
I
several
could,
times, but you kept going on. No, so when I say no, that means stop because there's already a blunder. No, I don't grant you that there's an instance in time which doesn't even make any sense. That there's a moment of time where space-time's not real. That's contradictory. But imagine there's just some state of reality where no thing exists. No, I don't believe that. I don't see why I would believe that.
So you believe the universe would be eternal then?
Eternal meaning what?
I mean, it's always been.
Or trivially always been. If always is temporal, then trivially the universe is always there because the universe is space-time. So there's not a time where there's not time, right? Else
Right.
you would get the contradiction
So
with a
to
time
me,
without
I
time.
guess, especially modern scientific explanations of the expansion of the universe would indicate the universe had a beginning. So how do you? What's
That's
the
false.
cause? As an
No.
atheist, what's the cause?
No. Yeah, I said no. Okay, I'm kind of confused. I want to kind of do meta. Do you hear what I'm saying? No, or do you just continue to speak over me? Because what's the point of
No, there's just a
you
little. There's a
continuing to
little bit of
talk?
lag, and then you
Okay,
keep going
yeah.
back to the.
I hope that's the case. Yeah. So no, modern science does not establish there's a beginning. The Big Bang Theory it's a dominant view in physics that over 70% of physicists explicitly deny that the Big Bang is the start of space-time. Additionally, it's an active dispute in cosmogony whether the universe has a start altogether, and it's actually a growing opinion of cosmogonists that there isn't a beginning to space-time. So the Big Bang is not a theory about the beginning of space-time, though there's separate opinions by physicists and cosmologists perhaps who believe that, but that's a fringe view. It's not dominant position that the Big Bang's the start. There's even people who believe there's a start to space-time, and the Big Bang is not even the start. So modern science does not establish there's a start. It's a dominant position amongst physicists that the Big Bang is not a start, and there's not a theory in physics of the start of the universe. There's separate theories in cosmogony, perhaps, though those are very controversial and actively under debate. So, but we
Right.
can
Have you
grant
heard
there's a
of
start
the?
to space-time because I'm not sure how that's a reason in favor of thinking it has a cause.
Well, obviously, you can go back to what you pivoted earlier about matter. That where did matter come from if we don't have a cause?
We have evidence matter doesn't come into being. That's what was explained.
So it's
It's like
always
asking
been.
always temporally. Well, yeah.
Always temporally. What can you explain that?
Well, there's not going to be always non-temporally. I don't know, because
Okay.
you asked earlier about whether the universe was always there. That just seems really like incoherent. What always there could mean, because it seems like always is a temporal notion, and you're asking if in every moment of time is there space-time. So I don't know if there's some other notion of before. Sometimes people talk about ontological before. Some people have views like meta time, which I'm a skeptic of, and other views like causal priority, where there's not a temporal condition. So I don't know what you even mean by before, because it seems you're using before in a way that doesn't need time.
Well,
And
you said
usually
it's always
before
existed
it's just
temporally.
right. Yeah.
So where did matter come from? I guess according to your view,
I
would be
don't know
my
what come
question.
from is. Yeah, you're not listening. First, I already told you that I don't know what it means. First, I don't know what it means for something to come from, if come from is not temporal. If matter exists in every moment of time, what does it even mean for it to come into being? That sounds like there's a moment of time where there's not matter and a later time where there is, but if at every moment of time there's matter, what does the coming from even mean? That type of causal
Gotcha. So
machinery
you believe
seems
matter
completely
created itself.
nonsense. No, I don't know how that's in any way implied from what I said.
Well, matter
It's
either has to create itself or it has to be eternal according to your view. So I'm kind of struggling to figure out what
You already asked me if
universe
I believe
you're living
matter is
on.
eternal, and by eternal, I asked you, do you mean every moment of time? You said yes. So that was already answered. Things cannot
Right. So
be
then,
the explanation
like,
for
what do you do with
themselves.
like the scientific principle of the second law of thermodynamics and atrophy, where things are deteriorating, our universe is expanding, all these things that point to a universe that was in one finite point having a beginning.
How does that point to the universe
If
having a
matter
beginning?
can create itself, I mean, matter's not eternal and it's deteriorating. It can't be
What's the
eternal
argument? Matter's not eternal.
because matter doesn't create itself. Everything doesn't
So
come from
what's
nothing.
the argument that if matter doesn't create itself, then matter comes from somewhere? or is not eternal,
Right.
rather.
I'm saying in order to have an effect, you have to have a cause, and you have no cause
This
other
answers
than,
my
well, it's
question
just
then.
there.
Yeah, the view is that matter doesn't have a cause. So that's not an objection. You're just repeating my view and making it sound like you don't like it, okay? Is there like an argument?
No, it's not that I don't like it, it's that it doesn't make any
Okay, so
sense
do you
that
have like
matter
a
would create
substantial
itself.
objection? Okay, I don't know where you keep saying that. Again, I challenge that claim. You said if matter's eternal, then it created itself? What's the argument for that?
No, you said that matter is eternal, and we have no scientific evidence to prove that matter has created or has always been. Because we have the second law of thermodynamics, which tells us that our universe is deteriorating, which would imply that our universe had a beginning. Therefore,
Well, I don't
matter had a
see
beginning.
what it would matter. It doesn't even seem like that's a scientific question anyway, so I wouldn't care if science doesn't have evidence for that, and I'm not sure that's even true, but that aside is, I'm not understanding why do you keep talking about matter creating itself? First, this is just incoherent because it's a condition of explanation. First, there's something called the irreflexivity condition of explanation in philosophy of explanation. Explanations are not with themselves. A cannot explain A, so nothing can explain itself. This is not just true uniquely of matter. This is true of everything in an explanatory relation. So I don't know what it means to say something explains itself. That's just incoherent. Now, secondly, I don't know where you're getting. It's implied that matter explains itself if matter lacks an explanation. That's contradictory. What I'm saying is matter is not explained. Not that it is explained and the explanation for matter is itself. I'm saying the exact opposite. So I don't know why you keep accusing me of saying or implying that matter creates itself. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying there is no explanation for the existence of matter. Now, I'm not sure if you have an argument matter has an explanation, but I don't know why you keep accusing me of buying into a view like matter is the explanation of itself.
Okay, yeah, I think I understand. That was great clarification. I understand what
This
what
was
you're
made
saying
super
now,
clear.
but yeah, I guess the scientific aspect of it is that if it has no explanation for why it's here, then we look at solid evidence and what we have in science today, that usually when things have a certain design, they have some type of designer.
That's not a scientific principle. That's an analytic truth. To be designed just means has a designer. But why would I accept anything in the natural world is designed?
Right,
Particularly
because if you
by
look at a
the
building,
atheist in
you
question.
understand that it didn't pop into existence, like our
Okay,
Earth or
and how's that a
biological life
reason?
on Earth or
Yeah, I
our
agree, but how's
gravitational
that a...
pull.
Yeah, I don't see why I would think those things are designed.
Right. Well, if you look at a building, you would know that it didn't come from nothing
Okay, you repeated
because
that, but
there's
that didn't
materials
answer the question.
that make it. Well, yeah, I know. It's a very logical point,
Okay, well,
but
saying
it
it's
doesn't seem
logical and not answering my question is not a logical response. So what I want to understand is, I obviously know I have background reasons to believe if something's a building, then it's likely designed. Now, how do I
right.
get from that fact to I have reason to believe that cosmos and physical laws themselves are designed?
Because they're so much more. There's so much more intricacy to the design of a tree than there is to the design of a building.
Okay, when you say those things are designed, that's what's up for debate. So I don't...
Right,
We're
exactly.
debating
So
whether they're
that's what I'm
designed.
saying. It makes
What do
more
you mean
sense.
exactly? Your
It
claim
makes
was
more
the
sense
reason to
that
think they're
because your
designed is because
DNA.
it's more design. It's a more intricate design than that thing, knowing I don't believe in design simpliciter. So that just assumes your view to accuse things of being designed. So I don't know why you would say exactly. Do you have an argument those things are designed or what?
Right, usually design indicates a mind and a will
Trivially,
in
that
our
does? Now,
universe,
what's
like
the
in our
reason to think
work,
it's
right?
designed is what I'm
So
asking you.
so cosmologically, the principle is the same. That a very much inferior design to what our buildings are,
Oh
or
my
whatever
God.
we can construct,
Why think
is
those things are designed?
because look at the evidence of what we see in our literally in nature.
Yeah,
If there
what's the
is a
evidence in
design, there
nature
must
they're
be a designer.
designed? I know that. That doesn't... How many times are you just going to repeat yourself? Are you like focused or what's going on?
No, it's
Design
just
having a
you don't make a.
designer?
You're very
Listen for a
logically
second.
contradicting
Okay, that's fine if
because
you think that,
you
and I can
say
explain how
you
that's
say
not
why
true.
you
If you
say
could
why
just
you say
calm down. Dude, calm down, please. I'm in the middle of speaking. First,
go ahead.
obviously, if something's designed as a designer, that's just what it means for something to be designed. Designed just means is explained by a designer. Now the question is, why think things are designed? Now you said there's evidence in the natural world. What is that evidence?
Well, I already pointed to it, and that's why I think
Okay, it's
we keep
what?
repeating
Okay,
ourselves.
maybe I didn't hear it. What is it?
Right.
I could write it down if
So
needed.
no, it's fine. Just like a tree or
Oh,
some type
wow.
of biological,
Apparently I
any
keep
kind of
you keep
biological
repeating
organism,
myself.
right? So if those things have a design, it implies there is a designer. There's
I
something
agree,
beyond
but what's
it
the reason I
that
think they're
created it.
designed is the question.
Because it implies a will and a
Oh my
the
God, no, no,
most
no, no.
the
What is the
the
question
most
I just asked
logical
you? Stop here. What is the question I asked you?
I don't know. You
Repeat the
asked
question.
several.
Okay, if you don't know the question, don't start talking, not understanding the question. I don't even mean I asked several. The question I just asked you like 5 seconds ago. What are you talking about? I asked you, what's the reason I think they're designed? Then you said, if they're designed, then that implies a will, assuming they're designed, which you know I just asked seconds ago for the argument for. So the question
I
is,
keep giving
when
you
you
a
say
logical argument,
trees,
and you keep just saying, "Well,
okay, so
why do you
then
believe that?"
what is the argument?
I'm
Okay,
telling
so
you the
the
logical
claim.
evidence that leads you to a
Okay, let's
designer,
just. Okay,
and
sure.
that's
Let's
why.
just. Okay, that's
Does that make
perfectly
sense?
fine. No, it's not.
All right.
Look, just focus for a second. We'll be really methodical and we'll be really slow, and we'll just document the conversation so we don't lose sight of your reasons. Perhaps I'm just rather slow in not detecting the reasons you've offered. So what we're going to do is we're going to move more methodically and we're going to write it down. So the claim is, let's just get clear. You said something like trees are designed. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. What's the reason I think trees are designed?
Because they have a specific end goal, right? There's a scientific principle. I'm going blank at the
Okay,
moment,
let's
but
stop
it
here.
is
They have a
goal
specific end
directedness.
goal. Yeah, let's stop there.
Right.
So a goal, the goal is the intention for a thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then that assumes your conclusion. To say it's designed means that there's an intention for it, and then you say there's a goal for it, which means there's an intention behind it. So that just translates. They're semantically identical. The sentence trees have a goal is no different than saying they're designed. So what you haven't offered is a reason. You've kind of, in sheep's clothes, repeated the claim. What we want is reasons to believe it has a goal, intention, or design. We don't want you to use synonyms because design just means goal. Intention just means goal. Intention just means design. We don't want to just switch between terms that mean the same thing. We want a
Gotcha.
substantial inference establishing the claim.
So it makes sense to me to say that it is easier to believe that something comes from a designer than that something
Okay, that's
comes
fine if
from
you think that's
chance.
easier to believe, but it's not a question of
Right.
easy. It's a question of rationality. If it's easy in virtue of the reasons, then provide the reasons. That's what I'm asking you for.
Well, I
So
already
what
gave
are
you
the
the
reasons?
rationality of the fact that within science, we see that matter doesn't create itself, so it can't come from nothing. I've already given you the reason that we see that a tree
That
has
no,
design,
no, no,
so it
no, no, no.
implies a
Stop there.
designer,
How do we get from
right?
it doesn't create itself to it's not created from something?
Okay, I get your I get your
You know
whole,
that contradicts your view. It's
matter
like if I
is
say,
eternal.
if you don't believe God
Your
creates
position of
himself,
matter is eternal is contradictory to science. Does that make sense?
then the claim makes sense. The reasons don't. That you haven't provided any
Right.
reasons. So what is the reason?
Well, I did. I told you about the expansion of the universe, the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, and what's
They
the
all
reason
point
to
to the
think?
beginning of a universe and the beginning of matter. So that's why
What's
it just
the?
keeps going back and forth. Because it's like you keep telling me the reasons, I keep giving you the reasons.
Hold
So,
on. Matter being eternal is inconsistent with science. Okay, so how is there being first we're gonna first talk about whether or not there being a beginning to the universe is in conflict with matter being always existing. And then secondly, we're going to debate whether or not there's good reasons to believe the universe even has a beginning. So how is the universe having a beginning a reason to think that matter is not eternal or doesn't always exist?
because if matter can't create itself, then obviously it has to
Why
have
do
a
we keep
beginning
saying
and then it has to come
nothing
from
can
somewhere.
create itself? Can we just stop talking about things creating themselves? So you're just saying that matter creates
Well,
has a
that's what I'm
creation.
saying.
Why would I
According to
believe
your
matter's
theory, that
created?
matter is eternal. I'll
That
just stop
doesn't
using the word
imply
create.
that
I
it's
think the
creating itself. It's that it's not created. Do you understand the difference?
right, but that's
God
already
doesn't create
implying your
himself. God is
anti-theistic view.
uncreated.
You haven't
No.
given a argument for why you believe that matter is eternal.
That's correct, but that's because you're supposed to be delivering an argument of your own, and you're saying the reason matter's not
I
eternal
already
does
have.
matter. Okay, so what's the argument matter's not eternal?
Again, this is what we went to the second law of thermodynamics. All of this pointing to the fact that it had a beginning. So would
How
you
does
say
that
you
imply?
believe in the second
Okay,
law of
listen,
thermodynamics? Like that's a scientific
listen,
principle?
listen. How does the universe having a beginning imply that matter has a cause or didn't always exist?
Because something immaterial had to put it into existence.
How's that
Because if there's a
follow?
state of
Hold on. How
it's
does
either
that? Hold
go
on.
ahead.
How does that follow? Given the universe has a beginning.
The universe has a beginning, and that means that
I'm not
matter.
asking you. Oh my God. How? Imagine it were true the universe has a beginning, just for the sake of argument. How is the fact that the universe have a beginning a reason to believe that matter is not eternal or that matter has a cause?
I think that's a little bit of a red herring because you're debating. You're
Can you just answer that
debating
question?
two philosophical debates, not the cause of it. I'm presenting you evidence that it has a
Okay, just
beginning. Therefore,
let's
it's
just
outside of that. Something
let's
immaterial
just
has to
can
put
we
matter
slow
into existence.
dude, you're not the way you're behaving is gonna get you kicked. You gotta focus and you gotta control yourself. Let's focus on what I'm asking you to answer and stop obfuscating, please. The question is, how, if the universe has a beginning, does it imply the universe that matter is not eternal and or has a cause? How do we get from that? How do we support that claim?
Okay, well, it's a logical contradiction to say the universe had a beginning and the universe is eternal. You see how those two things are logically contradictive?
No, I don't see how that.
Something cannot be eternal and also have a beginning.
Okay, and the argument for that is what?
That's a logical, like the law of non-contradiction. That's like saying 2 + 2 is 4, but it's
Okay,
also
so
5.
tell me what the contradiction is.
Something cannot be eternal, meaning it has an infinite amount of pasts
No,
and
no,
an
no,
infinite amount
no,
of
no, no,
futures.
no, no, no. Why do you
But
keep
also,
talking when I say no? Stop. What am I asking you? I'm asking you, what's the contradiction? Have you named the contradiction? No. Are you to be saying anything beyond the contradiction? No. I want a contradiction. To clarify, a contradiction is a sentence that form is P and not P. An example is, I have a dog and I don't have a dog. My jacket is all black and it's not the case. My jacket is all black. That's what I want to hear. So you're saying there's a
right.
contradiction that follows if the universe is eternal and has a beginning. Okay, the argument, or not argument, what's the
So you would
contradiction
agree that
supposed
those
to
two
be?
things are contradictive to each other. They can't coexist
Why
at
would
the
you
same
ask
time.
me that? Of course not. You know that. That's what I'm asking you to
Well, that's
deliver the
exactly what you're
contradiction.
opposed.
Just
Because you
listen.
said that matter
Just
is
listen.
eternal.
Dude.
I'm answering your question, dude.
Focus. No, you're not. The question's what's the contradiction?
You literally, you said it.
What
Like
is the okay, I said it. What is it? Do you think
that the
saying you
universe
said it is
cannot
telling
have a
me?
beginning. Matter can't
Cannot.
have a beginning
Stop.
and also
Stop.
be eternal at the same
Stop.
time.
Cannot just means there's a contradiction that follows. I'm asking for this time, what is the contradiction?
Okay, can 2 + 2 =
Don't
4
ask
and
the
also 2
question.
+ 2 = 4?
Ask. Okay, I'll repeat the question. What
Dude,
is
I've
the
already
contradiction? Okay, what is the contradiction?
The contradiction is that matter can, I'll slow it down so you can get it. That matter cannot have a
Stop
beginning.
already. Stop already. Cannot just means contradiction follows if true. What you're not doing when you use can't is telling me the contradiction. Rather, instead, you're making the claim that a contradiction follows if those statements were true. I don't want you to repeat the claim there's a contradiction that follows if they're true. I want you to purport the contradiction. So you cannot use words like cannot. You're supposed to be giving me the contradiction. Do you understand?
Okay, yes. Matter is not eternal
That's not a
because
No. What's the no. What's the contradiction? Take the statement, the universe is eternal and the universe has a beginning. Give me the contradiction you believe that follows from those sentences being jointly true.
those sentences are not jointly true. That's my point.
No,
I believe the universe had a
stop.
beginning.
Oh my God. To say they're contradictory means if they were jointly true, a contradiction is a consequence of that. So yes, we're assuming they're jointly true to see what's the contradiction you keep accusing there of being. So assuming they're jointly true, what contradiction follows? What you're saying is they can't be jointly true because a contradiction follows. Okay, so then if they're jointly true, what contradiction follows?
The contradiction follows that it has to have a cause.
What contradiction follows if those statements were true together?
They're not true together. That's the
I
point.
know. Oh my God. That's not the point, because the point is
You're
if we
playing word
assume.
salad.
Okay, if we
Like,
assume, can you stop? If we assume they're jointly true, your claim is if they're jointly true, a contradiction follows. Okay, so let's assume they're jointly true. What is the contradiction now?
if we assume they're jointly true, the contradiction is that matter cannot exist.
Oh my God, stop. Cannot means what? Cannot means there is a contradiction, right? What I don't want you to do is give an answer that tells me there's a contradiction. I want you to tell me the contradiction. Do you understand?
Yes, I guess I don't know how to
So don't
word
say you
something as big
understand for the
logical
fifth
as that.
time and not give the same answer. Stop saying cannot. Do not use the word cannot. Again, that vocab is off limits. You're supposed to be telling me the contradiction.
Okay.
So again, contradictions
Matter.
take the form of a proposition and its negation being jointly true. I already gave you examples. My jacket is all black, and it's not the case. My jacket is all black. That's a contradiction. It does not have the word cannot. Cannot just means
Gotcha. So
contradiction
matter
follows.
has a beginning and is not eternal.
That's not a contradiction. Okay, can we get a contradiction? I mean, that's obviously not a contradiction because that's not a proposition and its negation true. Perhaps a contradiction would be matter has a beginning and it's not the case matter has a beginning. But the sentence matter has a beginning and is not eternal is not a contradiction. Do you want to say instead matter has a beginning and it's not the case matter has a beginning?
Yes.
Okay, matter has a beginning. And
it's not the case that matter is
case.
eternal.
Matter, no, not a contradiction. Wow, did you really just Tom and Jerry? That you walked into a rake, walked back into the rake? Bro, I showed you the path away from the rake, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna walk that path and walk straight back.
Okay,
into the
so
rake.
explain, I guess.
The sentence,
explain
stop
for
talking.
me.
No, don't give me commands. Focus. The sentence matter has a beginning and is not eternal is not a contradiction. You acknowledge that. Then I asked you, okay, do you want to instead say matter has a beginning and it's not the case matter has a beginning? Because that's a contradiction. Then you say, sure, we could say that. I'm like, okay, matter has a beginning, and then you say and is not
I got
eternal,
you. So matter has
which
a
is
beginning and it's
thing
not the case
you
that it has a
just
beginning.
admitted
So
and
what would you
understood.
do, I
Why
guess,
are
to
you
that
over?
claim?
I'm going to drop you if you keep behaving this way. I don't know why you're over talking me. So you acknowledged the blunder and did it again. So matter has a beginning and it's not the case matter has a beginning. How does this
Yes,
follow
what would you do with
from
that?
Stop. How does this follow from the two sentences, the universe has a beginning and the universe is eternal? How does these two statements follow from that? Or
I don't know
the
what else to
universe is
say other
eternal
than the
and
law
has
of
one.
non-contradiction. So
Okay, that doesn't tell me anything.
that the two claims cannot be true at the same time.
Yeah, that doesn't
And
tell me
that
anything. I'm aware. That doesn't answer my question. So
so
I
you
don't
have
really
to fall in one,
Yeah,
right?
you're not tracking
So
at all.
you
This
fell,
is the
you lean
stop.
to the left,
Stop.
to the
Stop. Focus, please. How about you just stop trying to just don't take charge at all. Just be completely submissive in this conversation because you're completely incapable of tracking the conversation. This is horrible. The claim now is that if these two statements were true, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, that a contradiction follows. Okay, I asked what contradiction? You said the contradiction now is matter has a beginning and matter doesn't have a beginning. Okay, how does that contradiction follow from those two statements being true? Then you tell me, all I could say is the law of non-contradiction. That doesn't tell me how it follows if these two statements were true, this contradiction that you've said. So what I want to know is, assuming it were true, the sentence, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, the universe is eternal okay, yeah. How do we then get from that statement, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, that matter has a beginning and matter doesn't have a beginning?
I don't know, man. I led you to the water that you have to fall in the camp that it has a
Okay, so
beginning
look,
or that's eternal.
let's just go statement at a time. The sentence matter has a beginning. How does that follow from the sentence the universe is eternal and has a beginning?
The last sentence that you just said is a contradictory statement that cannot be true.
Okay, that's not helpful. Can you please focus? I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this. We might need to cut it short if you can't engage.
You just keep
listen to my
saying the
words.
same thing.
Just listen to my words, please. You keep saying I'm saying the same thing, but you're not focusing. That's the issue. How do we get this statement? Matter has a beginning. Imagine it were true. The universe is eternal and has a beginning. How can we derive, what's the derivation from the sentence, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, to the sentence, matter has a beginning?
Because our universe consists of matter.
From the sentence, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, how do we derive the sentence, matter has a beginning?
You cannot derive it because that's like saying 2 + 2 is 4 and 2
Okay,
+ 2
now
is
you
5.
just contradicted
the same time.
yourself. If you can't derive it from the sentence, then that's just to admit the contradiction doesn't follow. And if the contradiction doesn't follow, that was your claim, so you just conceded that a contradiction doesn't follow. I don't think you're paying any attention. You're just saying stuff. Maybe you misspoke. Listen a little better. Your claim is if the sentence,
You're
the
trying to
universe is
uphold two
eternal and
truths
has
at
a
the same
beginning.
time, or two things you
Okay,
claim
I
is true at the same time.
understand. I understand. That's the charge. Please focus. The claim is the universe is eternal and has a beginning. The claim is if that sentence were true, the following sentence is true. Matter has a beginning, and it's not the case matter has a beginning. Given that's a conjunction, that means each conjunct independently follows from that sentence. So let's just take one conjunct at a time. So we have the statement, the universe is eternal and has a beginning. How do we derive the sentence, matter has a beginning?
Because everything that has an effect must have a cause.
And how does it follow from the sentence, the universe is eternal and has a beginning, matter has a beginning?
And in order to have a cause, it has to be put in time. Matter has to be put in time. So therefore, it had to have a beginning. That would be, I guess, the logical
I'm
progression.
moving on. This is a waste of time. This is literally not capable of moving forward. I'm so sorry. I feel bad for your intellectual faculties. I genuinely feel bad. You're so intellectually malnourished. You just are not capable of reasoning. Also, thank you, by the way, Before Time on YouTube for the membership subscription. He also sent a $5 dono, very much appreciated. And he says, the Big Bang is not the beginning of the universe. As far as the evidence shows, it is the beginning of the expansion of our part of the universe. That is correct. And it's also shown empirically that most scientists deny that the Big Bang is the start of time. So let's get this off my face and we'll move to the next guest and hope that they're more tolerant and intellectually capable. Yeah, Diante. Hermano, y'all got to get the likes up. Word up. Yo, what's up, boss? What do you got?
Hey. Well, I don't understand how you could say the universe is eternal.
Do you understand the sense of eternal provided in the conversation, or should I re-give that?
Yeah, explain. I'll just give my understanding, and then you can comment based on that.
You're probably going to make the same confusion everyone does. Eternal and past finite universe are different. Eternal means exist in every moment of time. Trivially, the universe exists in every moment of time. This is true even if theism is true. Perhaps you mean to instead say you don't understand how there could be a past infinite universe? Or it's just
Yeah,
logically possible?
exactly. How could you have a past infinite universe before the
No
Big Bang?
Just what? There's just infinite moments before the Big Bang.
I know. How could you have anything before the Big Bang?
By having moments before. I don't understand your question.
What would exist before that Big Bang? Nothing.
Moments?
Absolutely nothing. There was no
What?
existence. There was no
Before the Big Bang,
existence.
the universe trivially exists, so that's not even possible.
No, there was no universe until the Big Bang.
That's impossible. The theory of the Big Bang is the universe expanded. Before Big Bang just describes the universe's cosmic inflation. That's what the Big Bang is. The universe in a hot dense state
Okay, so
expanding. Before the
until
Big
then,
Bang is the universe
it
in
was
a hot dense
the
state.
universe was zero. It was zero dimensional, and it didn't increase in dimensions until the Big
No,
Bang.
that's wrong.
Yeah, it was a point.
That's
Everything was in one point.
yeah, that's incorrect.
How many dimensions do you believe there are?
The point is, it's false to characterize the Big Bang as before the Big Bang there was no dimensions. That's wrong. Matter already
Do you know?
pre-existed. Matter already
No,
pre-existed. Shh.
but
Matter
direction did
already.
not.
Shh. Can you stop talking? Matter already pre-existed the universe. There cannot be directionless matter. That's not even a coherent concept. This, if you're talking about the singularity is not real.
There was no direction. So without direction, you have no dimension.
Yeah, there was direction because there was matter. There can't be direction. There can't not be direction and
No,
matter. There was matter before the
you're
Big
not
Bang.
the Big Bang. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing.
That's false. There was matter before the Big Bang. You could just Google this.
Now prove that.
Just Google it.
Prove it.
I'll Google it for
You
you.
can't. You can't do
Sure,
it.
I will
You can't even
Google it.
explain it because it makes no sense. You're now talking nonsense because the universe cannot be eternal. There's no way to think of matter before the universe, before the Big Bang. Even in the models they have where they pull up a graphic of it. Just pull up a graphic of it and you'll see.
Like again, what do you think the Big Bang is?
The beginning of the universe.
No, that's
What
not.
do you think it
You
was?
can believe. Okay. First, do we agree that's not what the theory posits?
The Big Bang Theory says this is when everything expanded from a point.
I'm just gonna move on. This guy can't work with me. I don't think that's even possible to talk with that guy. Thank you for the hat, by the way, Manny. Yeah, I gotta keep interacting. Yo, what's up? What do you got?
Hey, how's it going? My name is Barrett, by the way. I'm 26. I will say I've actually like kind of agreed with you for like a lot of my life about like the universe not being created, God being fake, and then a lot of things have led me to believe the other side of that. So I mean, I feel like I can put up a good argument. So
Okay, we don't.
let's start.
Okay, we don't. I don't care about that. Just what's your evidence for arguing God exists?
Alrighty. So my evidence that God exists is that matter starts with energy, and energy has to energy is only
What do you mean
completed with
matter starts with energy? What does that mean?
matter is created from energy. Basically, a collection of positive and negative potentials that collide together to then become existent and observable on the 3D realm. And that implies that it has to be created from a higher dimension, which is the 4D realm, which is the only
Yo,
place
this
where it created
is.
could exist.
Can someone just invite a physicist here? Because I'm tired of talking with these like conceptually confused individuals. I'm not a scientist. But the fact, like the amount of misinformation.
Are you claiming
and
that's like kind of
garbage people claim-
philosophical?
What you're saying is scientifically inaccurate, but we could get someone who's.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I'm willing to
completely
take
wrong.
this a little further. Do you
First
have a
you're
rebuttal that I
treating-
can apply to?
Okay, first you're treating energy as a thing that exists, which it doesn't.
Okay.
Matter is not a thing that exists, so it couldn't be composed. It couldn't compose matter. Can't cause matter. Doesn't exist.
Matter only exists because we perceive it.
I said I'm talking about energy does not exist. That's what I'm saying.
Energy doesn't exist?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It's not a real thing.
So you're saying it's just like a facade, like an imagination kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just a physics
So you're s-
device. It's a fiction.
So you
So
kind of
you
believe that like the universe is just kind of a hologram in a sense. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of living just like a, I don't know, like I don't even know what purpose it would be, I guess, if that's your stance. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. You sound
Okay,
super
like,
confused. This is
well,
standard science. Science does not treat energy as a thing that exists. This is a common fallacy that's done in science communication. It's called reification. In science, energy is not a substance that exists in the universe. Energy is a mathematical measure in certain scientific machinery and systems for the amount of work that could be done. Energy is not electricity, plasma. It's not this woo-woo thing. Energy is not a thing. It's a common misconception.
Okay.
Matter
Well,
is a substance. Matter is a thing that occupies space and exists, not energy. Energy is just
well, energy could be classified as a force if you think about it, because if it's measured, then it has to be doing something to something, because they have to have something to
Can we,
measure. So,
yeah. If you want, I can wait until someone more qualified talks to you about your confusions. Beyond that, I'm not here to talk about this.
I mean, I guess. I mean, all right, whatever.
You should do some research, though.
Well, hey man, have a good day, and may everything bless you in your life. Okay, have a good one.
We got a physicist here.
Oh, we have a physicist? Okay, nice.
Yeah. The last thing I heard was energy can be thought of as a force. They're very different things. Energy has units of energy. Forces have units of mass times acceleration. They do different things.
True, yeah, because energy could just be heat, could just be cold. You know what I mean? It's not mass times acceleration. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is you're treating energy as a substance or entity that exists in space, which is not. It's not right.
Well,
Right,
look, what about the existence of particles? How do you describe particles then?
Yeah, so we describe particles in terms of excitations of fields, but we don't have like just pure energy by itself, or like that energy is a physical object that composes other things. Energy is just a property of the system.
Yes. Okay, well then, so this is the question that people have with this, and I'm understanding
Beyond
where
this
the fucking,
whole
like,
confusion, what does this have to do with God existing? What's the inference supposed to be?
the fact that like we observe things and we see things that are real to us, and that we can feel them, touch them, act upon them, and we think about them, we can remember them, and we wonder where those things and those abilities come from, right? And then when we ask that question, we get that, you have space, and then you have matter, and then you have potential, and then all three come together, and then you have time as well, because there has to be a time in which they exist. And
Why
then
would
they
we
all
think-
exist in one.
Yeah, so
and
energy
what we
doesn't-
wonder, wait, hang on, let me
Slow down.
finish. Because what we wonder is who or what created that.
Okay. I'm not going to let you finish. Just stop. So, this is the same thing I've already explained to the previous guest. For space, time, and energy to come into existence, treats those things as existing. It reifies them. Now, this isn't entirely a problem, because there are some philosophers of physics who do endorse the position that space is a real substance. Ordinarily, this is not the dominant position. It's actually a minority position, and this is even so supported when you look at field paper surveys. Most philosophers of physics deny that space is a real substance. Space-time, both space and time are not real things, and energy, as already explained, is fallacious to reify it. It is not treated as a real thing in ordinary science. Now, for them to come into being and be causally efficacious requires they are existing things. Ordinarily, what we treat as existing is matter itself, and space is a relation between it, and time is not real. It's just a way of organizing events. So there's not good reasons beyond an independent inference establishing space and time are real to establish space and time are real. But if you treat the universe, as not merely space-time, but space-time and energy, well, energy is not real in that way, such that it can be caused. It's not an object that bears ontology. This was just explained seconds ago. So I don't know why you would how we're just like backpedaling to the same thing a physicist just explained to you too. So you can unmute yourself and we can talk a bit about that, whether or not there's good reasons to think space-time is real, and further,
Okay.
if it were real,
Sorry.
it
Yeah,
has
I
a
didn't.
cause.
Yeah, I didn't know I was muted. That was my fault. But okay, so
So
I'm
do we
not
have
trying to like
reasons to think?
backpedal. I'm more so just trying to like bring things up that I can use to back my claim, because like I'm, but there's a disconnection, I guess, between what you're saying and what I'm saying, and like
Look, let's just okay.
like there's something before what you're saying
Hold
that
on.
has to come. You know what I mean?
No, and I don't
No?
know what you mean, and that's what we're gonna go over. Yeah, don't just like throw it out there like it's obvious. Very
Like educate me.
controversial, and
You know what I
I
mean? Like,
explain.
because like, I
That's
do
what
want
I'm
to know. I'm
trying
very
to do.
open-minded, so
Okay, then listen a little better and stop talking.
for sure.
So
I'll
I
mute.
just explained to you, it's a dominant position amongst philosophers and philosophers of physics that space is not real. So you can't create a thing that's not real. Do we understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you talk about the universe existing, there's many senses of universe. The ordinary sense in physics, as far as I understand, is just space-time. There's an alternative sense, which is the material world. And if by the material world, that's fine. We can argue whether matter has a causal explanation or an explanation for its existence. But if you mean space-time and space-time or energy, one of those two, this is incredibly controversial, because seemingly there isn't very good reasons to think space and time are real. Hello?
Sorry. Okay. So if you're saying that that's the contradiction,
I
right?
didn't say there's any contradiction. I don't know what's going on. What? I said that most philosophers and philosophers of physics deny the view space is real, and if space is not real, it couldn't be causally explained, or its existence couldn't be explained. I said it's
Okay.
fine if you want to endorse that view, because there are philosophers who endorse that. It's not like impossible, but it's very implausible by my lights, and most philosophers' lights as well. So you would need to make an independent argument for a view like that. If you're not familiar with the
Okay.
philosophy of physics, I doubt you're capable of doing that, but you could be my guest. But
I'm
turns on if that's what we want to really say. You could instead say the material world has a cause. If you want to say space-time has a cause, why would I think space-time is real?
True. Okay.
Do you
So
want to say space-time is real?
yes, because it's experienced to us.
Okay, so then what's the argument space-time is real?
Well, I guess like how do you define what even is real? Real is something that has to be experienced, broadly, widely viewed, and believed.
Real is not explicable. That's a common opinion amongst philosophers. Exist and real are what's called primitive concepts. So you can't break down the concept. You just understand it, or I would hope you do. And
Yeah.
real does not mean
Sure.
what you can experience. You can lack experiences of real things, and you can experience things that are not real. This is empirically confirmed. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's also a selfish standpoint too, though, because everything is experiencing what is real at the same time, all simultaneously. So everything technically is experiencing what's real at the same time. Like the grass is experiencing the dirt being real because it's causing it to grow.
I'm
Like, you know what I mean?
sorry, I'm not
It's
going to waste my
same.
time with this. I'm just going to move on. Oh my god. The day I get a good guest is the day... I don't even know. It's the day something happens. Y'all gotta get the likes up. If you want to talk on Discord, join the Discord, please. I'd rather talk with... At this point, maybe Discord people would be better than the TikTok.
I'm gonna drop down, but if you get more physics
Most definitely,
BS,
I'll
I can
invite
always
you.
come back up.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like there might be more of that given.
Hello.
How's this been going? Yo, what's up? What do you got?
So, I'm 13 years old. My
You can't
English
be
is
up
not.
here. Doesn't not even sound like a 13-year-old. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, so we're talking about the existence of God here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just want to make something clear. Everything that what came into existence has to have a cause.
I don't
If there
accept
is no
that
cause,
principle.
it
That's a
what?
controversy. Yeah, that principle is controversial. You don't get away with it for free. So we could just acknowledge, at least for now, that you said it. It's not clear. I have to exactly target that claim and have you justify it. It is actually a majority opinion that that causal principle you purported is not it's not a popular opinion. There are obviously a handful of people who run it or use it and believe in it, but most philosophers deny it. But we might be able to just assume it for the sake of argument and see where. Okay, and he just ran away. I can grant you just a yes. Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah. So I'm sure you heard of the cosmological argument, right?
And that's a category of arguments. So which one? And yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with
Yeah,
that.
the William. Yeah, the Kalam. Yeah.
Kalam.
So P1. Yeah, the P1. All things begin to exist. P2. The universe begin to exist. P3. The universe must have a
Everything that
cause.
begins to exist has a cause. You just said everything that begins to exist.
You said what?
You said premise 1, everything that begins to exist. Premise 2, the universe begins to exist. Premise 1 is everything that begins to exist has a cause.
No. Okay. To be clear, all I'm saying is that the argument I'm running is that if all things that begin to exist have a cause, right? Okay. All right, sure. What's the misunderstanding?
Oh my god. You said everything that begins to exist was premise 1. It's everything that begins to exist has a cause.
That's what I said, brother. What?
That is not. I could play back the recording.
Maybe I misspoke, bro. It's fine.
You want me to play back? I could just show you real quick that you didn't say that.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a category of arguments. So which one? And yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with
Yeah, the William. Yeah, the Kalam. Yeah, so P1. Yeah, the P1. All things begin to exist. P2. The universe begin to exist. P3.
Did you hear that? P1, everything
Sure, bro.
begins to
Okay,
exist.
I misspoke, bro. Okay, sure.
Right.
All things. All right. All things that begin to. Okay.
I'm
Yeah. All
familiar with
things.
the argument, dude. Yeah, I mean, we could do one of three things. We could talk about the stage 1, and we can talk about the first premise, because I would even say the first premise is false. Or we can grant you the stage 1 Kalam and see what are the second stage or higher stage arguments getting you to theism. It's up to you. This is your choice here.
Whatever route you want to take, bro. It's fine.
Well, I'm asking you for that reason.
Sure. We can go over premise 2.
I said premise 1.
Okay, we can go over premise. I thought you said you'll grant premise 1, and then we can talk over premise 2, or we can talk over premise 1. But
I said I can
sure.
grant you the stage 1 Kalam, not the premise 1, not premise 1 of the Kalam.
Yeah, when you said stage 1, I thought you meant. Yeah, I thought you meant premise
know
1.
what stage 1 means? The Kalam is not an argument for God. That's the point. The conclusion of the Kalam is the universe has a cause. The conclusion is not God exists.
When people say God,
stage.
so yeah, when I say God, all I mean is a necessary being, something that's immaterial, timeless, things of that nature, right? So
Yeah, that's not even true, but let's just slow it down.
that's not true. What, bro?
Yeah, there's other essential conditions of theism you're ignoring. We could get into that in a moment. Just calm it down. The point is the conclusion of the argument is not anything theistically inspired. Doesn't say there's a God. Doesn't strongly imply God. All it merely states is that there's a cause of the universe. That's why Craig gives higher stage arguments. After the Kalam, he gives other arguments. I believe he gives 2 other arguments, or even more than that. Eventually get to God. So I'm saying we can grant the stage 1 and then talk about the higher stage arguments for the Kalam, where you can actually get to God, because obviously that argument doesn't get you to God.
Okay.
But we can talk about the first premise, because the first premise is the most controversial in the stage 1 Kalam. So everything that begins to exist has a cause. So there's several objections we can go over. The first and foremost objection is an argument against theism, which is that if God exists, God is an ex nihilo cause. Everything that begins to exist has a Pickwickish cause. If everything that begins to exist has a Pickwickish cause, then we have reason to believe it for anything that has a beginning as a Pickwickish cause. The contrapositive is if something has an ex nihilo cause, we have evidence against it. If God exists, he's an ex nihilo cause, therefore we have evidence against God.
Right. So
So I'll clarify the terms Pickwickish and ex nihilo. I'm sure
right.
you know what ex nihilo is. I don't know if I need to explain that, but Pickwickish is the opposite. Pickwickish causes are causes where when something endures causation, there's no new substance coming into being. It's a transformation of pre-existing substance when something endures causation, as opposed to ex nihilo, which is the manifestation of substance when enduring cause.
All right, is that up?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, typically, you're saying that because of the fact that the things that begin to exist, if they do have a fictitious cause, right? That's evidence against the fact that God has an ex nihilo clause, right?
No, we have evidence against God.
That's okay. But okay. So why do you
How
think?
do you not track what you say? You said that's evidence against God being a being an ex nihilo cause. No, it's not evidence against God being an ex nihilo cause. He's defined to be an ex nihilo cause. God is not dividing a piece of himself. So it's not evidence he's against him being an ex nihilo cause. Given he's defined as an ex nihilo cause, there's evidence against him. Those are different statements.
Bro, why are you being so hyper-technical? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, gang. Okay, but Monkey Boy,
Well, those are
again,
substantially different claims. That's all I'm doing.
right.
Is
So
clarifying.
pickish, right, for sure. Okay, so you're saying that pickishism just kind of means that the substance is right. That yeah, they're not making any new substance. However, they're transforming, right? Like, can you justify that?
When we see causes, we see them. When I chop down a tree and build a house, there's not new matter coming into being. The pre-existing matter composed of the tree is being transformed and organized to form the house. That's what we see every time we see causes. We don't see new matter or new substance come into being.
Bro, you're trolling. So
Trolling how?
yes, okay, because right. So to be clear, I don't think that's.
How am I trolling?
That's not really a response, right? All you're saying is that given the fact that the substances or there isn't any new matter, yeah, you're trolling because that's not a response. Because if all you're saying is that because of the fact that these things aren't changing in matter, in the case that when you make a house and it's caused by the tree or you chopping down the tree, all that means is that it's changing its form, right? The matter does not have to change for it to be a cause. I don't see the response here.
The point is that we don't observe ex nihilo causes for everything that begins to exist as a Pickwickish cause, which is evidence against their existing an ex nihilo cause. How's that hard to follow?
No. Okay, okay, Monkey.
Look at this.
Okay, go ahead.
If every car we know that has a mechanic, the mechanic is a human, then if someone postulates a non-human mechanic, then we have evidence against that view, which is the fact that for all cars that have mechanics in our background, their mechanic is human. So that's evidence against that. So you're still positing a cause, just like in that scenario, we're both positing mechanics. But the point is, if it's a human, then it's not alien. If it's alien, it's not human. So if we have evidence of only human mechanics, then we have confirmation for that if something's a mechanic, it's likely human, which is the contrapositive is if something is an alien, then we have an alien mechanic, we have evidence against it.
Sure. I don't even. Okay, I don't even disagree with that. Like,
how? So what do you mean?
Because
that's
we can make a baseline. We can make a baseline assumption that.
Do you want me to write this down?
We can make a baseline assumption that
if I make.
Sure, bro.
Just talking fast and doing rhetoric and have little to no substance.
I'm not talking fast. You're the one talking fast, bro. What?
I'm talking fast.
The jargon is crazy.
Funny enough, people say they hate me because I'm monotone and talk super slow. I don't see my.
Can we go back to the initial? Can we go back to the initial? Can we go back to the initial point?
Yeah. So you said it doesn't respond. Can we agree that's like stupidly wrong?
Yeah, I'm stupid and it's wrong, bro. Okay, but Monkey Boy,
you're stupid. That is stupidly wrong, but okay.
Sure.
So that is a response. So that. Do we agree that we have evidence
right.
against the principle, the causal principle you're advocating for, or we have
evidence
against theism, given what type of causal principle we have evidence for?
Right. Okay. So I'm saying that whenever we're observing
say whatever you're saying,
okay.
I asked you a question. I'm not getting a clear answer. Is the answer yes?
Sure. Yeah, that's a response. Yeah. Yeah, bro. Yeah, sure. Okay.
No,
So
that's not the question. Please. just
contradiction
calm down.
equals matter has
Calm
okay.
down. Calm down. Do we agree we have evidence against your view?
I think okay, if what you mean by that is that we have a strong we have evidence against my view, as in it destroys the view. I think under your worldview it does, but I think my argument it's I think my argument is compatible. I think my argument can be compatible with that. Sure. Okay. You're right, bro.
Answer, please.
Yes,
Dude,
yes,
this
yes,
anime
yes,
rhetoric
yes,
behavior.
yes.
Okay, you can't behave yourself. That talking with you is some of the most painful behavior. Clone, genuinely, how immature and unaware of your behavior do you have to be to like behave that way? So disgustingly immature. I don't know if that dude got a father or what, but yo, you gotta be raised better than that. Don't even know how to like abide by basic conversational norms. Disgusting. Yeah, I'm not taking you back up. You can't behave yourself. Come back in 5 years when you intellectually develop and you're just more mature as a person. Thanks for the hats, by the way, fellow dragon. Very much appreciated. Yo, what do you got? If you want to talk on YouTube, join the Discord. Are you there?
Hey, hi.
VL David? Yeah, what's up? I'm in Daniel.
Hi.
Yeah, what do you
I'm
got?
sorry, I don't speak English very well, but you know what? I was thinking about those things you said before, like energy doesn't exist and things like that. Can you explain me that?
Yeah, energy is not an object that exists. It's like a mathematical conceptual tool to understand the world. It's a useful fiction.
But do you think that matter can be converted into energy?
What? I can't even hear you.
Is it possible to convert matter into energy?
No. I just said energy is not a thing. You can't convert it into...
Okay, do you know how nuclear reactors work?
No.
That's exactly how they work.
What do you mean, that's exactly how is it they work?
Because there are fusion reactions, That's how you get bigger atoms.
I think you're confusing energy as a thing with things that have energy.
No, they don't have energy. You convert mass into energy, literally. That's physics.
Yeah, that's
physics. You know Einstein's equation?
Where's
E equals
is he still here?
MC,
The physicist guy?
MC squared.
If a mod can find him, just invite him up.
You literally convert mass into energy. They're convertible, they're the same thing.
Yeah, this is just confused.
No,
y'all want to get
seriously.
a physics
I'm
person?
engineer,
Y'all gotta get someone up here.
No, I was just saying, That's the thing.
Yeah, the point is energy is not a substance that exists, has causal abilities, explains things, is composed of things, can be reduced to things, transformed to things. There's things that bear the fictional property of energy, which facts about the things that have energy can explain facts about matter. Perhaps we're talking about heat or something. Heat can be said to be energy, and that converted into matter or something. But energy itself is not a thing that exists that can be transformed into matter or something. That's just confused.
No, it's not. Do you know what light is?
Oh my god.
It's an electromagnetic wave.
Is there not a physicist guy here? Because if we're not going to get a physicist guy in the next minute, I'm going to drop this guy.
Okay. Do you know what photons are?
Yeah, they're particles.
Okay. Do they
wave,
have mass?
Both. No.
Do they have mass? Do they have energy? Are they energy?
No, they are not energy. Things
They
are
are
not
energy. They are literally energy. That's nothing. That's what they are. I mean, there are other kinds of.
Okay, I'm just gonna move on. We don't have a physicist guy. Why are we getting all these people who just don't know anything about science when yet are super arrogant and insist on talking about like completely confused
Hello?
stuff? Bro. Yo, and
Can
people
you
on
hear
YouTube,
me?
get the like, subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord and try and reach the gift goal. Yeah, I can hear you. What do you got?
Nice to meet you. My name is Daniel. I was
Sure.
just
What do you
wondering
got?
some of your views on some things.
Let's not talk
I've
about my
heard.
views. I'm here to talk about whether you have arguments or evidence God exists.
I believe I have some arguments, but
Okay.
evidence, then I would require some specific framework or how
Okay,
you
so just
define
give an argument.
evidence.
That's fine. We don't need to cry about that stuff, please. Just it's give evidence, give argument. Don't have evidence. You don't need to like go into why you don't have evidence. Just give what you have.
Yeah. So, firstly, for me, I don't know if you're familiar with the contingency
Contingency
of
argument.
things. Yes.
I'm
And
familiar.
also fine-tuning argument.
Yeah. So
Yes.
which do you want to talk about?
So, in general,
Which do you want to talk about?
I could start with the fine-tuning one because
Okay. So
yeah.
I think fine-tuning doesn't exist, and fine-tuning, if existed, is evidence against God. To clarify, the way people like, Philip Goff and Luke Barnes standardly in literature, I'm assuming we are using the standard account of fine-tuning people in literature provide. What fine-tuning is that there's a narrow set of ways you can configure the physical constants and values in which that physical world can yield life. The reason that's evidence against God is we assume it's true that there's a narrow parameter of ways the worlds could be in which they can yield life. If God exists, God is a disembodied immaterial mind that has control over the cosmological and metaphysical facts, or very strongly has manipulation over them, or power over them. So if God existed, what happens is most worlds actually can yield life. Not that most worlds can't yield life. They can. Given God is
What
so
are we talking about
causally...
in terms of life here then? As
Life, I don't know,
as
you're
in
asking. Life as in life.
matter, as in
Natural forms of
biology,
life.
and what?
Just natural forms of life. If theism were true, then in most worlds you can have life because God can make it such that any physical parameter yields life. You can imagine God just has the power to make an electron alive. So in every world in which there's a physical world of any values and a God being in that world enables that world to have life, even if that world doesn't instantiate life. Because the claim is not most worlds don't instantiate life, is that they can yield life. For every world seemingly that God exists, it can yield life. So if God, then no fine-tuning. If fine-tuning, then we have strong confirmation God doesn't exist.
Okay, but I have several mistakes with those claims because for me, when you're talking about lives, we're not merely talking about the composition of a certain amount of matter that creates a consciousness, right? Because you say, for example, an electron, if God wanted an electron could be alive, for me that's like makes no sense because we're talking about different
Making no
scales
sense
here,
has
right?
nothing to do with whether it's possible. Something could be possible and not make sense. The point is,
Yeah, I agree that. Yeah, of course. Okay,
consciousness.
I agree
The
that.
point is, consciousness is a sufficient condition for life. So it's not a necessary, but sufficient. So not everything that's alive is conscious. But if
Now we
something's
jump.
conscious,
I'm sorry. Aren't we jumping here because you're talking about the narrowness of, I mean, fine-tuning being the narrowness of certain variables and so on, and that this is not necessarily for an all-powerful God. But now we're jumping
we're not even
into.
talking about an all-powerful God. Yeah, you're
Wait,
not really
I didn't get
listening. Look, I'm
sorry.
saying that.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying that God is defined as a being that has strong control over the metaphysical and cosmological facts. Not that he's
But
omnipotent.
wait,
That's
where is that
usually
defined? Where is that defined?
that's just how that's just how theism's ordinarily understood. God is supposed to be a very powerful being. God is not some weak being. He's supposed to be extremely powerful. non-trivially
No,
so.
but he can. Wait. I have some problems with those things. Why can't he be weak? Why can't he literally be anything he'd like? Why can't he be strong and weak? Why can't you be contradictory for us? Why can't you be so contradictory to our logic that we cannot even define it? If you start by defining it as
What are you
specifically
talking
powerful,
about?
then
Oh my god. Why
no,
do you
I
guys always do this nonsense?
no wait.
First, if we don't
did not.
have an account, we don't understand the concept of theism, then we couldn't meaningfully talk about it. So we couldn't even have an argument over God exists, which is different from a definition. But there is a standard definition provided in philosophy of religion as to what most philosophers, atheists and theists, are saying when they say, I believe in a God and I don't. It's that it's a disembodied mind, that's immaterial, is extremely powerful, such that it can manipulate the metaphysical and cosmological facts, does not have a cause for itself, and usually is rational, but you don't need rational is not essential. You can have a or non-rational agent, or you can have a God that's not an agent, so long as he's a minded being. So that's what a God here means. I'm not assuming he's omnipotent. That's usually a feature of classical theism. It's just that he's extremely powerful. The reason this is relevant because you can demarcate between angels, demigods, deities. There's a difference between God and lesser spiritual beings that have similar power, right? So God's supposed to be extremely causally efficacious. So given God's extremely causally efficacious and has power over, to some non-trivial degree, he has significant power over cosmological and metaphysical facts, it's consistent with the hypothesis that God makes a single electron conscious. And if it's true, seemingly so, we're incredibly likely that if there's God, that most worlds can have that feature, single particles being alive, then what we expect if God exists is that there wouldn't be fine-tuning.
But what do we say about alive then? Suppose we have that instant. Let's actually just go through that. Suppose you have an electron being alive. What does it mean for electron being alive? Are we merely talking
We're saying
about
an electron is
consciousness
conscious.
or
No light. Oh my god!
but
It's like
but
you don't
then
listen to
we're going.
anything. Look. I've
I
explained
no. I
this,
just
and
I literally listened to everything. I did. I
yeah,
just
okay.
have some problems because
Yeah,
I
the
did.
point is that being okay. Thank you for telling me you did, because telling me did definitely makes it you followed. Because I'm repeating myself now, which shows you definitely followed.
No, I didn't
First,
ask you to repeat
okay,
yourself.
can you just
You
calm
don't
down?
have to.
Okay, I didn't say you asked me to do so, and just because
Okay.
you telling me I don't have to doesn't make it that I don't have to. The point is, being alive, it's a sufficient condition of being alive that you're conscious, but not a necessary condition. There's a bunch of things that
That's
are
true.
alive but not conscious, but if something is conscious, it's necessarily alive. The point is God could just make electrons conscious, thereby they're alive.
So, wait, if I understood it correct, then being conscious is a hierarchical characteristic that determines that anything else is alive. You're basically
I don't know
saying
what
if
you're
something
saying.
is conscious, you're basically saying that if something is conscious, then it is alive as well. And then you say that that's it. And I'm stating that's literally different. I'm staying at a different level of being alive.
I don't know what you're
Consciousness
saying at all.
just no. I'm just saying that consciousness is we don't know what it is, right? We know that a certain amount of neurons or a
What is
certain
this
amount of
responding to?
no, it's just responding that you're applying aliveness with consciousness, which I I I don't agree on. It doesn't make sense
What are you
for me.
talking about? You're saying something can be both conscious and not alive? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying something can be.
So what are you talking
I'm
about?
stating
Like, what are you possibly
I'm
responding
saying
to?
that you can have biological life from carbon or from specific amount of atoms creating cells, then creating biological matter. But I'm stating then that consciousness is a collectiveness, and a collective amount of
What is this responding to, please?
specific
What is
cells
this responding to? Okay, this is
my
your view,
point
but
is
what is
that
this
conscious.
responding to that I said?
No, it goes
What is
all the
it
way
I
back to
said
fine
that...
tuning because
What is it I said that you're currently responding to, or are you just waffling?
I'm responding to the fact that consciousness is not the same as being alive, and that you referring
Did
to
I
God
never
making an
said that
electron
though, so
alive
that wouldn't
suddenly.
respond to what I said.
And then you because I
I thought you
think
said
you
you've been
were
listening. I've said this so many times. Consciousness, being conscious, is a sufficient yet not necessary trait for being alive. For everything that's conscious, it's alive, but not vice versa. There are living things that are not conscious. That's all I said very clearly. I don't know what you're
yes, and
responding to.
I was going to make the point of consciousness perhaps being emergence, an emergent property of.
That doesn't matter.
What do you mean that doesn't matter? Then
It's
that
not
contradicts
relevant
an
to anything
electron
we're
being alive.
talking. No,
Because
it
no,
doesn't.
then it contradicts an electron being alive because an electron is a point particle. As far as we know, an electron doesn't decay. We know that.
It's logically possible that an
That it,
electron is alive. There's no
no,
contradiction.
it's not because I just
What's the
stated because
contradiction?
if an electron is alive, that either means that you're talking about being alive as a biological matter. So if an electron is a point particle, it cannot
An
be
electron is
composed.
conscious. What's the contradiction?
An electron is a point particle that cannot be composed of any other particles. It cannot
What
have
is the
consciousness, which is merely an emergent property.
Can you focus? What's the contradiction in the sentence, there is a conscious electron?
It's a point particle.
Thank you. Yeah, we're done. At this point, we're getting the worst of the worst we've seen in a really bad while. I don't know genuinely how we're getting these guests. This is like abysmal. This is an abysmal live. Oh my god, it's like every guest is just negative IQ. We haven't gotten a single person who has any intellectual aptitude. They're not.
There we go. Hell yeah. All right, so I have a question for you, brother.
Okay, but do you have an argument or no?
Yeah, no, I have an argument. It's called presuppositional apologetics. Apart from the Christian God, you cannot prove anything. And on top of that, I'm assuming that you believe in macroevolution, correct?
Well, again, if you have an argument, let's just talk about.
No, it's an argument. But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to get your worldview. I'm trying to get your worldview, your theological stance. Do you believe in macroevolutional biology, where we went from molecules to?
Already. I'm asking.
Yeah,
for the
well,
argument. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, my argument is apart from the Christian God, you cannot prove anything.
But that's just a proposition. So.
No, it's no. Okay, so if you only believe in materialism, what you can touch, what you can taste, what you can feel, how do you make sense of things like laws of arithmetic, laws of logic? How do you?
Okay, let's.
Yeah, how do you have?
Let's slow down. Let's stop.
How do you have? Sure. How do you have an answer though for things like uniformity of nature?
Okay,
Sure.
Questions. You're not focusing. You said you have an argument, so we're focusing on the argument, unfortunately. I understand you probably don't have an argument. You just want to ask questions.
No, I've got one.
Sure, right. Yeah, when asked for the argument 5 times in a row, you just kept asking different questions. That's fine. What's premise one?
Yeah, it's called presuppositional apologetics.
Okay, I don't care what it's called. The point is you didn't give an argument. So what's premise 1 of the argument?
Well, the number one argument is that you can't prove anything either, and there's no reason for you to prove anything.
I'm asking you
because you're just the descendant of biological fish.
Slow it down. Slow it down. What is premise 1 of the argument?
Well, you're here to ask for evidence, correct?
Oh my god, dude.
Isn't that what it says? What's the best evidence argument that God exists?
Stop and focus. Stop doing this.
Stop doing what? You can't slow things down to make your argument look good.
Okay, stop. What is premise 1 of the argument?
You're saying what's the best evidence argument that God exists, and I'm giving you the evidence that apart from Him, you cannot prove anything.
Is that premise 1 of your argument? Yes or no?
Yes, sure.
What is premise 1 again? Repeat it.
Let's say that exactly what I said. Apart from the Christian God, you cannot prove anything.
Okay, that's the conclusion. So are we just giving a directly question-begging argument, or did you make a mistake when I asked you the question, what's premise one, and premise one is identical with the conclusion?
What I'm saying is that you have
Don't
no
say
way.
what I'm... No.
Hold
Happens
on.
every
Yours.
time. Nope, you're not going to overtalk me. No, that's not going to happen. Don't tell me, hold on. I asked you the question, then the apologists do this every time. You ask them the direct question, then they say, I'm saying this, and just obfuscate. The question I'm asking you is, did you make a mistake when asserting the first premise of the argument is identical with the conclusion, or did you intend to do that? It's either I intended or that's a mistake. I don't want to hear anything else. So you can unmute yourself. There we go. That's precept for you. That's what it caps at.
Sup?
Hey, what do you got?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So what do you got?
Okay, I'm going to try to prove Christianity here right now. Let me just find my notes here for a sec.
Okay.
Okay, I have 3 points first. Well, my major point is about the resurrection, but like I wanna go through a path to prove it. So the apostles had no reason to lie.
Prove the resurrection?
Yes, the apostles had no reason to lie.
Okay, wait, hold on.
And before you say that miracles couldn't exist, we have
Hold on.
Fatima that had like 70,000.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear me say hold on several times or no? You just now heard
I
me?
didn't.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm going to suggest you turn up your volume. I'll try and do mines, but we got to be a little more attentive. Let's grant you, we don't need to argue that at the moment. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, Jesus resurrects. Let's just imagine that's just true de facto. How do we get from that to God exists?
Okay. A resurrection after like days of death will just make, even if someone resurrected magically, they would just be totally brain dead and completely like not even human. But like Jesus resurrected, and we have a ton of eyewitnesses, and we can say about the apostles that they had no reason to
Why do
lie.
you keep talking about this? You're not focusing one bit. We're not disputing the fact Jesus resurrects. Do you get that? I just said, imagine for a conversation, it's de facto true that Jesus resurrected. So we're not able to debate it at the moment. It's just a fact of the conversation. Jesus resurrects. Now, granted Jesus resurrects, how do we then get to God exist?
Okay. Well, but like, are you saying like Jesus resurrected like after days of his death, or like did he just resurrect?
However you believe it. He resurrects days after, whatever. I'm just saying, imagine what you're claiming about Jesus' resurrection were true. Now, how do we get God exist?
Okay. As I said, if someone resurrected after days, they would just be completely brain dead. They wouldn't like just work. They would just be like fully a zombie.
Jesus is however he is. I already said this. We don't need to repeat this. Jesus resurrects the way he does. He's not a brain dead zombie. It's years after. It don't matter. Just Jesus resurrects in whatever way you imagine it to be. Now, how do we get from that fact to God exists?
Well, in my opinion, it's kind of obvious that like resurrection after days is kind of obvious of a miracle. But okay, how could prove that God exists? First, if we say Jesus resurrected, then we are confirming that there are miracles. If we confirm that there are miracles, what takes away the chance of
miracles?
Miracles, something unexplainable by science that like already try to explain, but like doesn't really make sense.
Unexplainable by science? Is that
yes?
Are you sure that's
just like the Eucharistic miracles in Buenos Aires that like a communion host turned into heart tissues of the AB blood type?
Okay, so
the earliest Eucharistic miracles happened in 2015.
Why are you going off on this? Just focus. You're just rambling off stuff we're not talking about. Why are you talking about the Fatima, whatever? Dude, just focus. All I did was ask you what you mean by miracle. Now, just wait after you answer. Okay, so we got a clear answer. Unexplainable by science. Now, to clarify, is this in principle or is this given our current science?
In principle.
Okay. How do we prove it's in principle not explainable by science?
Well, if there's no real explanation and like no no technology behind it, it is probably a miracle. We cannot explain something that
Can you answer
has
my
no
question?
real.
How do
Sorry?
we get it's not explainable in principle by science?
But like you're saying, like science would never be able to explain it, or science would like be able to explain it in like
Yep,
another
in
time.
principle, not able to. Not that it can't now, it is not able to. It's not sensitive to science that it explains the fact.
Well, my English is not very good, but like I will try to explain from what I said. Huh?
How do we support it's in principle unable to be explained the resurrection, or unable to explain the resurrection?
Okay, as I said, Jesus was died after days, and he resurrected after days, and he had like his body was totally mauled and desecrated.
Yeah,
like he
I'm
had
asking
like.
you, yeah, okay, but I'm asking you what's the argument it's not explainable in principle by science? That's what I'm asking.
A dead body couldn't like heal himself in days and like heal himself from like.
Okay, I
injuries
already
and
know
like
that fact in the background. You've already said this several times. That's exactly why.
Well,
I'm
not
repeating the
understanding what you're
question.
saying then.
Okay, I'm asking you, how do we establish the claim it's in principle not explainable by science?
Okay, let me just think. Science couldn't replicate it, and like even if they could try to explain it,
That's
they
just
wouldn't be
repeating
able
the
to.
claim.
Well, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
What?
Like my English isn't perfect, so yeah, it's kind of
There's a
hard for me to
difference
understand.
between science can explain it now and science in principle can explain it. Is that unclear? Science at one
Okay,
point
I
can
think I'm
explain
understanding.
lightning, right? That's why
I
theologians
think
and
I'm
religious
understanding.
people appealed. Then but it's in principle explicable in terms of scientific methodologies.
Okay,
and
I think I
machinery.
understand it now.
The
I
claim
think I
is not that
understand it.
our current tentative science can't explain it. You're saying in the foreseeable
Hey, calm
future it will
down,
never
calm
be
down.
explained. Don't tell me calm down,
Okay.
because I explained this several times. You're not
Okay,
getting it.
now
So
I'm going to try to give my argument. If my
you get
argument
it
is weak,
finally?
you can just
Okay.
listen to me and then break it later.
Okay.
Okay. So, as I said, how could a body just
That's a
like
question.
resurrect and get completely healed after days? Science
That's a
couldn't like
question.
even explain it.
That's repeating the claim. So you ask question, then repeat the claim and offer no argument. So let's just try and be clear. Don't ask me something. Don't just repeat the claim science can't explain it. That's the claim I'm asking you to support very explicitly. What's the argument science in principle can't support it? Don't just say science can't support it. Don't say, how can it be? That's just incredulous and fallacious. We need you to actually establish the claim. If I just said science can support it, and then you say, okay, what's the argument for that? How can science not support it? That's not an argument science can support it. Science can support it. That's repeating the claim.
Okay. A human body would just rot away in 3 days if they were like completely mauled and broken, completely ripped apart. They would just not be able to regenerate so quickly. Even if they were dead, they also wouldn't be able to regenerate at all.
Okay, you're
Their
just
body would just be
repeating
completely
what
broken out.
you're just repeating what's regular about human decomposition and death.
Yes, I'm trying to lead that as a way to get to my argument.
The point is, we acknowledge that this event is irregular. The question is, whether it's irregular or not doesn't mean it's not explicable. The question is, how do we show it's not explicable in terms of science, given the fact it's an irregular event?
Okay, now that's a hard point to explain. So then, like, there's a great difference between an irregular how something happened like that is not like really explainable and irregular, and like completely impossible by science, from a scientific view. As we can see from the resurrection, saying that in the point that we're talking about, it is completely impossible for a human body. And wait, let me just finish talking. It is completely impossible for a human body to regenerate, and to be normal after 3 days. It is just like simply impossible. Science, modern science, and like any science couldn't explain it, and with no scientific and magical measures from that
The
time.
claim so far. Okay, we haven't gotten any argument. We haven't gotten anywhere, and I think we have to be honest with ourselves. You're not even really giving anything. I don't know if you genuinely believe you're offering an argument, but you're just not. So if it's not possible, it can't happen. That's what it means for something to be impossible. It doesn't happen. So it's obviously possible. Perhaps there's a specific sense of possibility you're talking about. Maybe you just mean like, is it impossible with respect to physical laws? It breaks physical laws. I'm not sure if that's true. I don't see any. I don't know if you have an argument for that. I doubt that. Resurrections are irregular, but that doesn't mean they violate the laws of physics. But even if that's true, it's unclear what science can explicate is tied, is just indispensable from the facts about the physics. There are serious philosophers of physics who deny that. There are serious philosophers of physics who believe you can explain supernatural events in terms of science. So science isn't analytically or by definition constrained to the physical laws. So if something breaks physical laws, it's not explainable in terms of science, especially when we're talking about science in principle. So it's unclear how we get, even if we just assume that the resurrection broke physical laws, which I don't have any reason to think that would be true either. Assuming the resurrection breaks laws of physics, how do we then get it's not explainable in principle by science?
Okay, I would just need to lead up with like another argument that I have to make this argument more clearer. Is that fine by you?
I'm sorry, you said you're doing what?
I will try to get like connect this one with another argument that will help to like make both arguments stronger. Is that fine by you?
I don't know what you're talking about. I just want specifically the argument for the claim that it's in principle unable to be explained by science, given the fact it breaks the laws of physics.
But I'm trying to say, like, I'm trying to give another argument that happened, like another miracle that happened, like,
no, I don't want you
not
to
so long ago,
miracle.
to use this to like make it more evidential for this one.
No, you have to justify this specific claim. You don't give an argument for a different claim.
I'm not trying to give an argument for a different claim. I'm trying to give it to this one so we can connect to this one.
Okay, so if it's an argument for this, I don't know what you're going on about. Just give the argument if you have one for this. So what's
Okay,
the
so
argument?
let's talk about then a little bit about Our Lady of Fatima in 1917, if I remember correctly. So there were 70,000. Because then this can help to lead up with this one.
So naming a different event is going to explain how this particular event is in principle unexplainable by science?
Because it's a miracle as well.
Why? Okay, but now you're accusing another thing of being a miracle. We're just debating whether this is a miracle. Let's not talk about other things you think are miracles. How do we establish?
It is much easier to explain something that happened less than 200 years ago, such as Fatima, and it makes it help like
I don't care.
Miracles can happen.
I don't care. Let's focus. It's okay if you believe there's a billion miracles. We can address them one at a time. Right now, we're currently disputing whether this is a miracle, meaning is in principle not explainable by science. So let's not talk about other events that you think are miracles. We have to focus and be vigilant of what we're to be doing, which is strictly speaking, justifying this is a miracle. How do we justify this is a miracle? How do we justify it's not explainable by science in principle? Even assuming it breaks the physical laws.
Okay. So, in the first century, they didn't have like even one single bit of science that they could use to heal people. So yeah, it is just impossible. So yeah, someone that was already like really hurted and like nearly and killed, they would probably just die again. So, and if someone died with a body completely broken apart, even in today's standpoints, even in today's medicine, it will be just impossible to heal them and to protect them. So
okay, we're not talking about medicinal science and healing someone from the dead. We're talking about someone just resurrects. How is that in principle not explicable in terms of science?
Okay.
And we're not talking about people's scientific equipment back then. And you also repeated that ordinarily people don't resurrect. We acknowledge it's irregular. We acknowledge the scientific medicinal capabilities of the people at the time. We understand all that stuff. None of that tells us how it's not able to be explained scientifically. If you don't have an argument for this, we could just grant you this, because this is not even seemingly going to be that interesting. But it just seems you don't have anything really, right? I don't know if you want to keep fighting this, or you want to concede it, or we could just move past it. Because do you seriously have an argument it's not explainable in terms of science, or do you want me to just grant you that? Because I just can, because seemingly it doesn't seem fruitful asking for an argument, because we've been nearly 10 minutes asking for an argument for the same proposition to no avail. Do you want me to just grant you it?
What do you mean by granting me it? Like just trying to just saying like,
imagine for the sake of argument it were true.
Okay, let's try to do by that. Go by that.
Okay, so we're not going to establish it. That's fine. So granted it's a miracle, just meaning not explainable by science in principle. How do we then get the resurrection is some evidence for theism, or is a reason to believe God exists, given it's a miracle?
Okay. Let me just read it later. Okay, so if we go, okay, are you saying like that existence of God is just like completely against science, or it could be just like argued?
No, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not making any claims, so don't ask me if I'm saying something. I'm asking you the question, assuming. We're now assuming that it is a miracle. Now that we assume it's a miracle, how do we get that it's an evidence for God?
Okay, if God is all powerful and he could do anything, if God could do anything that he wanted, a miracle wouldn't be like so much a big deal for him. He could just like turn into a ball, into a solid tungsten ball, and then he could just say, and then that would be a miracle, because a normal ball couldn't just transform into a tungsten one, with like just someone saying, okay, turn into a tungsten one. So a miracle would just like be something inexplainable by science, and God could do, and God can do things that can't be explainable by science.
Okay, so that doesn't answer my question at all. All you said is God, if existed, has the power to do that, but that doesn't tell me it's an evidence. Just like if fairies existed and they have magic, if my keys go missing, fairies have the power to take my keys. So if I said my keys are missing and I say that's evidence for fairies, and I say, how is it evidence for fairies? And you say, because fairies can do it. That doesn't mean it's an evidence for them just because fairies can do it. So yeah, God, if exists, has the power to realize and bring those events to fruition. How is those events happening evidence for God is the question. Do we agree that with the fairies case, just because it's consistent with fairies doing that doesn't mean it's an evidence for fairies? Can we at least like acknowledge that?
Well, okay, we can say something like that, but like if God had like just the same amount of proof as fairies.
Hold on, no. This is what I hate about people. I ask a very direct question, and they want to like either not answer or very like kind of like shuffly answer, and then just very fast jump into going off on a tangent. I don't want to hear anything but a direct answer. Not baggage, not other stuff, anything. Just yes or no, do we agree? Merely the fact fairies can accommodate the fact doesn't make it that that's evidence for fairies. Do we agree?
Yes, we can say some. We can
okay, so
agree on
saying God is enabled to bring that event to fruition if he so existed is just to say the God hypothesis can accommodate the fact, which does not establish it is evidence for the hypothesis. So how do we show the existence of Jesus resurrecting is an evidence a God exists?
Okay, as I said before, a miracle would be just a showing that God exists. But as you said, your keys disappearing wouldn't mean. No, I'm just trying to go by. Just trying to finish up here. So Jesus resurrecting would be a sign of a miracle and the evidence of a God. But okay, now we need to explain the how. So let me just say, as you said, for the fairies stealing your keys, then if we go by evidence and like we just try to go a little bit more about logic, fairies have no real support of their existence. But as we said, we can agree,
This is not a
like
question
Alex
about
said,
independent support
miracles
now.
can be like really can be explained by the Eucharistic miracles and Fatima and the
Yeah, but this
miracles
is
of
not a question
Fatima.
about independent support. This is a question of whether it's evidence. It could be both true. We don't have any independent evidence fairies exist, and that still be evidence for fairies. So it's not a matter of whether the prior probability a god is very likely or the prior probability fairies is likely. We don't have independent justification for fairies. None of that's a matter. We're not talking about whether we have independent justification for fairies or God to talk about whether that thing is evidence for them. We could just have no independent justification and that be evidence. If that were evidence, now we do actually have independent justification. Right? We have the evidence now. The question is, merely accommodating it with God doesn't make it evidence. How do we then establish its evidence? Just saying God can do miracles. Okay, well, fairies can do miracles too. That doesn't mean every instance of a miracle is now explained by a fairy. Just because a fairy can do it is evidence for fairies, is strong evidence for fairies, right? Because fairies have magic powers. They can also do what science can't explain. So I could just posit, no, that's evidence for fairies. No, it doesn't follow because a fairy can do it that's evidence for a fairy or evidence for a fairy over God. The question is, how is it any evidence for God just because God can do it?
Okay, the main difference between the fairies and God is like God has much more miracles to his name. Fairies, we have like no real evidence for fairies. Like God, we can then, as I said again, and I will say again,
Why do you keep
as
going? This was already you're going off on a tangent, and this was actually just said we're not talking about this. How is it possible? I just finished explaining what we're not to be talking about, and you start by talking about we're not comparing gods to fairies. We're not talking about whether fairies have independent miracles to their names. That whole thing was to illustrate the fact that accommodation does not equal evidence, and what we want is independent reasons to believe. We want reasons to think that's evidence. This is not a matter of whether we have independent evidence for our fairies, whether fairies are just like not super unlikely or anything like that. We're just talking about whether there's evidence. Something can be super unlikely and it still be evidence. Something can have no independent justification, still be evidence. So this stuff about fairies don't have independent justification, fairies are really unlikely, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. This is going to be the second time I'm repeating this, and I hope to the God you believe in that you don't go off on a tangent repeating the same thing I just explained we're not to be talking about. Okay, just why is that a reason to think God exists? How's that an evidence?
Okay, so to explain all my points, I wanted to go more in a linear path to of the points that I wrote down here. That would include, why would they that would include Jesus' existence, miracles verification, why the apostles will lie, and
this is not an answer to my
actual
question.
miracles.
Please don't go off saying stuff you know is not answering my question.
Wait,
Please
I'm
don't do
trying
that.
to answer your question by going through
What
a linear
question
path.
did I ask you? You don't need to do that. You just answered the question
Okay,
correctly.
evidence. Okay, evidence for miracles don't really are evidence for God because anything could be evidence for anything. If your keys disappeared, we could blame on fairies.
How is it evidence for God?
You just asked me how to what your argument was. So then I just gave you what argument
How
you did.
is the resurrection, if a miracle, and evidence God exists? That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, I will need to, as I said before, I will need to go by my linear path so I could say it to you. Could I do that?
God. Go ahead, because
If
you
my
don't have an
argument is so
answer.
bad, you
You
wouldn't
just want
have
to
like
ramble. That's fine. You could just ramble.
if my
Go ahead.
argument was so bad, you wouldn't have like much
You don't
trouble.
have an argument.
Just letting me finish and then wrap it up at the end.
That's just stupid rhetoric. You couldn't justify that claim you just made if you wanted to. But additionally, the point is, I'm getting frustrated because you're not giving an argument. It's not, oh, if my argument was so bad, there's not an argument. I'm literally what I've been repeating for the past 10 minutes is the question of how it's an evidence. What's the argument it's an evidence? The issue isn't there's some argument that I'm getting frustrated with. I'm getting frustrated with the fact you're not rendering an argument. So that rhetoric is so stupid because that just shows how blind you are to what's actually happening in the conversation. But that's just rhetoric. That's just empty rhetoric that you couldn't prove. Of course, it's perfectly possible I get frustrated not because I can't deal with your argument or something like that, but with your abilities to engage in this conversation. That's just projection. That's just stupid rhetoric. But that aside, okay, just give whatever you have. I'm at this point, I don't think you have anything, and you're just gonna ramble yourself into circles like a pretzel, and then I'll just discard you. So just do whatever you want. Let's just
Okay,
make
I will
it
explain my
clear.
point then.
How's it inevitable?
I'll explain my
That's what we're
point then.
asking.
I'll explain my point then. So if you may let me finish my explaining the points that I
Just go
had.
ahead.
Because you, okay. First point. Jesus was, you know that Jesus, wait, let me just ask you something. Jesus is real for you, like he existed. In your view, he existed, right?
No question. You have to justify this statement.
Yeah, I will just go to, okay, then I will just say my argument then. Okay. We have a historical consensus that Jesus existed. And Christianity immediately exploded in Jerusalem after he died. Can we, and if they try to say something, the Roman Empire could just get Jesus' body and just break down the whole hoax. And the apostles had no reason to lie and do something, because they had like just no reason. They wouldn't gain nothing. They would just get tortured and killed. They had like no real reason to lie. And and you could say something about traditions and stuff, but that doesn't automatically say that. That doesn't exactly explain why Christianity exploded so fast in the first century. If it exploded like really fast, since it exploded like really fast in the first century, it couldn't be a tradition, because traditions require time to build up, and it exploded really fast. And my third point, and my last point, is that miracles can and do happen. If we go by Our Lady of Fatima, that had like a huge amount of eyewitnesses, had like 70,000 eyewitnesses, and Eucharistic miracles. That Lancino, like the Lancino Eucharistic heart tissue from heart tissue, that confirmed that it was heart tissue and it was from AB blood type. So my point is basically saying the existence, the apostles had no reason to lie. It wasn't a tradition, so since it just developed so fast, they had eyewitnesses, and miracles do in fact happen. Since Our Lady of Fatima, since the sun miracle, Our Lady of Fatima was seen by tons of people, and most of them said that they saw Mary shifting the sun's orbit and had no damage for looking at the sun for 10 whole minutes straight. And Eucharistic miracles that were scientifically tested by biologists, and they said that they were heart tissue and from the blood type AB.
Are you done?
Yes.
That didn't answer my question at all, and you know that. I don't know if you're going to be either dishonest or you're such a confused individual. You can possibly tell me in my
I was
face
trying to give you another
that
example of Jesus' existence, not trying to answer that exact question.
Then why the fuck did you possibly waste all that time knowing?
Because you didn't let me finish
engaging-
it. Because you didn't let me
don't-
finish at the start, so I was trying to
don't-
finally finish it for you.
That's not relevant. That's not relevant. So you're saying
Yes, it is.
because
It is basically
it's not,
you didn't state why my argument is bad and why it doesn't prove that God exists.
We're asking for an argument. So no one's claiming your argument doesn't prove something. There isn't an argument. We want an
I just tried to give you our argument. You just said that it isn't an argument. I just said again and again.
Listen.
Okay, let me just listen to you then.
The argument. Look on the screen. What is highlighted?
Yes, I know. Resurrection is an evidence. His resurrection is evidence for God. How? But I'm trying to say to go through a linear path, and you just said, yeah, okay, I'll listen to your linear path. But you didn't say nothing after that.
Okay, we're not to be talking about anything but this. Comprende?
Okay, no.
Okay, so you wasted all that time, and I'm really mad.
Wasted all that time, but you didn't give like an exact reason why those arguments were bad.
Okay.
You didn't give you just run away back to this this question.
Okay. Yeah, because that's where we are. Unfortunately, if you're not saying anything that's engaging with where we are, it's not responsive. So we have to focus. We've got to focus. I know you're new to conversation. You don't understand the rigor and the essentiality of being methodical and understanding what we are to be talking about, what we're not to be talking about. Even if you think you have other points for God, we are not there. So you're just wasting my time and your own time, and you think you delivered something, but guess what? I can't even engage with it because it's not talking about. Even if it were like a brilliant novel point that gets us to God, because it's not what we're currently talking about. We have dialectical progression, and we get locked in parts where we are. Given that's not what we were talking about, that is completely extraneous. There's nothing to talk about there. So we have to focus back what we are to be talking about. The resurrection is a miracle. Evidence for God. How? It says on the screen. It was highlighted that whole time and was told to you clearly that you're to be answering that question. And instead you admit that you didn't answer the question and you instead wanted to talk about something in the beginning because you didn't get to finish your point, which didn't answer my question, which I told you to do. Brilliant. Okay, so what's the argument that this is evidence for God?
Okay, but let me just think of a point here.
Okay, you had all that time to think of it, and it was made excruciatingly clear. That's
Wait.
what you're to be doing, and only that. So, how about we could just go simple? Do you know what evidence means? Should we clarify what evidence means, or do you think?
Let me just think of my argument here for a second. Wait a second.
Okay, no, that the question was clarificatory, so I don't know what you're talking about. Listen to the question clearly. The question is, do we understand what evidence means, or should we clarify that?
Okay, let's go for my logic. If a man claims to speak by God, I'm going to give my answer. I'm just trying to give it. So could you just please
stop? No, stop.
So we're not debating then. You're just telling me to shut up and to listen to you.
Stop. Don't keep going. Stop and focus. The question I'm asking you is, do we need to clarify? It's yes or no. Don't say, I'm trying to answer, and you're literally saying anything.
No, okay, I've tried to answer what is highlighted there. I'm not trying to answer what you're saying.
Yeah, so answer what I'm saying. Answer what I'm asking you. Do we need to clarify?
Could you just please say it again? Could you just please say it again?
I'm muting you. Do we need to clarify what evidence means, yes or no?
No, I said it 2 times already.
Okay, if we don't need to clarify that, what's the argument? It's evidence.
You're asking what is an argument and what is an evidence, or what's an argument for an...
Actually, yeah, we're done. You're too dumb. There's no way. I'm talking with a fungus, a literal mushroom popping out of the dirt. That's what that is. The shit Mario consumes is what I'm talking with. We're done talking with you. You're so probably the most intellectually incapable guest I got all day. Hands down. We're just gonna be in indefinite cycles talking to a fungus. Yeah, what's up?
What's up, bro?
Yeah, what do you got?
I think I can answer the question that you had for him. We gotta have mercy on him. He said English is his first language.
So you can answer the question how it's an evidence?
I believe I can, yes, sir.
Okay. How's it an evidence?
Okay. So you've granted that Jesus resurrected. So for evidence of your question is what is the evidence that he's God, right?
How's that proposition an evidence God exists?
Yeah. Is it okay if I use scripture?
I don't care what you use.
Okay. So to understand then how or why, I guess, or what evidence God exists, we have to look at Jesus's words. And so at the very end of Matthew, he says, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. What does that mean? Does that not mean evidence of a higher power?
So Jesus just says God bestows him power. Is that a fair interpretation?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so he makes this claim. So how's the fact he claims this and he resurrects some evidence God exists?
Because not only does he claim that God gave him power, but before he died, he claimed to be God himself.
Okay, I write that down too. How are these things, if all true, some evidence God exists?
You said, how are these things, if all true, evidence that
Yeah,
God exists?
assuming all these are true, how is this
So
an
it's,
evidence God exists?
yeah, so assuming that Jesus said, I am God,
Mhm.
who lived perfectly, did miracles, and resurrected himself, how is that evidence that God exists?
Correct. What we got to do is not just keep listing more things. Of course, that would never do anything. Imagine I said the
Wait.
resurrection is not is evidence God doesn't exist. Okay, I claim that. So then you ask, how is the resurrection evidence God doesn't exist? Then I
Mhm.
could just make further statements. Jesus says God gave him the power. Jesus said he is God. Okay, now how are all those things evidence God doesn't exist? This is a type of parody strategy you should be considering when doing inference, because this is called, like, or at least I like to call it, the grocery list problem. Just
Okay.
listing more and more statements doesn't engineer an inference to that thing as evidence. So we have these three things. Now how do we establish these three things being true, that the probability of God is more likely than before the data?
Than before. Yeah. And so I don't know where you got this little problem that you're talking about, but I would personally disagree, because these, I guess, this list of groceries is
So if
the
I said,
evidence.
no, it's just more how. Okay, so then,
So if you said what? Sorry.
what's the symmetry breaker between that and the parody?
Can you simplify that? I'm not understanding what your question
The
is.
parody is me saying the resurrection's evidence God doesn't exist. Then when you ask how, I just list the same things you did. What's the symmetry breaker?
It just wouldn't make sense. Like, if you say
That's
God
just
gives me
fallacious.
power.
Yeah, but that's fallacious. It doesn't
How's
make
that?
sense is not an argument, right? So the question is, what's the symmetry breaker? Saying it doesn't make sense. Imagine I said these same things. I said the resurrection's evidence God doesn't exist, and I say these other three things. And then I say it doesn't make sense what you're saying. You don't make sense. That's not a justification for my position now. It's not a justification that things I listed are evidence God doesn't exist because I said you don't make sense or your points don't make sense. Right?
Oh yeah, I agree. And it would be one thing if I just said that doesn't make sense and left it at that, but I was still talking, and then so
Okay.
I was gonna say why it didn't make sense. Yeah. Is it my turn?
I mean, if you have to axe that with me being silent, I mean,
I think I do, because it seems like
social cues.
it's never my turn really. So I think it's a fair question to ask. Anyways, we won't waste any time. The reason why that line of thinking wouldn't make sense to me is because you said the resurrection is evidence that God does not exist, but at the same time, the person who resurrected claims that these things are of God. So I don't know how that could be evidence against God.
Yeah, that's just
That,
doesn't change. It's still incredulity. You're still doing incredulity. It's not an argument against the view. So when I asked you for the symmetry breaker, you're just adding more fallacy. So just like I can be saying, well, the point is, it doesn't make sense that's evidence for God because the one who resurrects says his power is from God and he's God. I could literally say that and say, for that reason, your view doesn't make sense. First, not making sense is not an argument. Whether it makes sense or not is not an argument against or for it. So explaining how it doesn't make sense is not relevant. The point is whether or not you have a successful explanation for how it makes sense or don't. The charge it makes sense, true or false, does not matter. So the question is, how do we get that the probability God exists is greater conditional on these three things? How's that in evidence?
yeah. Okay, so I guess, and I don't know, because whatever I say, I guess we'll be adding to the grocery list, but next we could look at the Old Testament to understand who, I guess, or what God is in their culture. Would that help or no? If it doesn't, I won't waste
I would say no, but if you think it would, I'm not going to stop you
Well,
from
no.
trying.
I mean, if it doesn't help you, I
I'm
won't
almost
waste my
certain it
breath.
won't. Well, if you think it helps you, then why would it matter if I just disagree with you? If you already think it does make, just denying your position isn't like making, so like me just disagreeing with you isn't a reason to now think it's just not true. Like, I don't understand that.
Okay,
If you
sure.
have
So I'll give
justification,
yeah,
just give it.
yeah, I'll give justification then. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So obviously in, their Jewish culture or whatever, before Jesus came about, there obviously was their God that they talked about in scripture and everything like that. Goes all the way back to the times of Moses, right? The person that the person that gave them their laws, and he claims that he got them from God, right? You're familiar with this stuff? And so this burning bush, I guess, that Moses apparently spoke to, he said, Moses asked, "Who are you? What is your name?" Right? He said, "I am who I am," or "I will be who I will be." That was, I guess, his name, right? And so Jesus in the gospel is written saying to a religious teacher before Abraham was born, "I am." And so obviously they knew what that meant for him to say, I do you know what he was implying there, or do you do it?
He's God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's saying basically,
That's
I
just
am
another
who was
drop in the
being talked
bucket.
about.
Jesus,
Right.
we already have Jesus says he's God, so you're just adding more instances of Jesus saying he's God. Never answers the question how these things are any evidence of God. I thought
Right,
you
and
said
that's
you
what
would
I was afraid of.
explicitly avoid the grocery list, then you just name more facts, which isn't showing how those facts make the probability of God more likely. You're just throwing more facts in where the same question is how the list of facts makes it more likely. That's the whole point. You can just keep
Yeah.
listing facts and not ever show how those facts makes it more likely. Then you explicitly said, okay, I'm going to give you the Bible. Is it fine if I use the Bible? And I say, I don't care. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to show that it's evidence. Then you just name more facts, which are already listed. You didn't say anything novel either. You just listed an already existing fact. Jesus says he's God. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So
Had a
and
good
and
use of
so
time talking with you.
no, yeah. So I'm not sure if you remember, but before I went into that whole little thing, I told you that it wouldn't help because you would call it another list on the grocery. So I don't.
You're acting
You
like
told me to do it anyway.
it's like, no, but that rhetoric about you're going to just say this almost implies you're acting as if this is evidence, but I'm just denying it. But that's not
exactly
what's
what's
happening.
happening. That is actually exactly what's happening.
So you just listed a fact, or did you explain how those facts makes God more likely?
It is a fact that Jesus lived.
That didn't answer my. Don't do that. Don't.
Okay,
dodge
go
the
ahead.
question,
Ask me
please.
again.
Why would
Ask
I
me again. I'm
ever
sorry.
ask you it?
Ask
And
me
you
again.
just
Ask me again.
intentionally avoid.
Ask me again,
Did
please.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
name another fact, which technically it's not another, but do we just name another fact, or do we go over how those facts makes the probability of God more likely?
Yeah, I guess I gave reason why it would be more likely. So
how did you? What was the explanation for how it makes it more likely? What was it? Because all I heard you say is that Jesus says, "I am."
Okay.
Someone
So I
could
guess
just
I
say,
gave another
"I
fact.
am" is an evidence God doesn't exist. The fact Jesus says, "I am." That person claiming that is not showing how it makes it more likely. All I heard you do is explain how the Bible, from the burning bush of Moses, and the bush is God, and he says, "I am." Then later in the New Testament, Jesus also refers to himself, "I am," the same way God does. So it just amounts to Jesus saying he's God. That's all you said.
Yeah.
You never gave an argument the probability of God's more likely. Are we going to be honest? Or did you actually explicate how the probability increases conditional on that fact? Really, you did that. You explained to me how the probability of God is more likely. You didn't just say long-winded, Jesus says he's God.
Well, then I guess
I'm serious. Maybe I'm just an idiot. You did that?
No, I'm trying to be serious
You showed
too.
the probability? Okay, I'm asking you seriously. You showed to me the probability increases, right?
Well, no, that's what I'll say. I take
No, you
fault there because I
didn't.
misunderstood you.
Wait,
I
just clear answer
misunderstood.
before anything. Just yes or no. Did you show the probability increased, or did you just say Jesus is God?
For you, no, I didn't increase that for you.
It's not
No.
for me. It's whether or not you've established in conversation, right? It could just perhaps I don't see it, but you still think you did. I just want you to be honest here, whether what you did
I'm being
was
honest.
establish. Okay, I don't know why you keep saying that. I'm just saying I want you to be honest. Do you actually believe you've shown whether or not anyone sees it? You could show and people just not see it. Did you show how the probability of God becomes more likely?
I wholeheartedly believe I did.
How about this? Do you think we could just write it out deductively? We just have premises and a conclusion. God existence is more likely. This would be the easiest way, given Jesus resurrects and says he's God. Okay, what's premise 1?
I don't understand because you disagree with what you just typed out.
Yeah, that's the conclusion, genius. It's the conclusion of the argument. So we're asking for the premises that constitute the argument. Because
Okay.
you said you
That's
already
it.
explained it, but clearly not a single person sees that. And I don't even think you're being wholehearted, but perhaps you're just so silly you genuinely think you did that. Maybe I'm just silly enough to not see it, and it's just there.
I won't
You know,
call you
perhaps
silly,
that's
man. I mean, if you want to insult
I
me,
don't
that's
care what you call
fine.
me. That's fine. Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just what are the premises?
I guess the first one could be Jesus lived a sinless life. Does that count for you? Or
What's premise 2?
he taught great ethical teachings that are still used today, that have been foundational. I don't know if that's substantial to you or not.
Is there another premise?
You could say he died on the cross.
More?
He rose again. Came back to life.
He's just resurrected. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there another?
I think that's it.
Okay. Obviously, none of this is connected to the conclusion. So
How's that obvious?
Because the statements in the conclusion don't appear in the argument at all. So it's
Okay,
called,
I guess.
it's what's called a non sequitur.
Yeah, sure. I guess we can add one more then.
Well, adding more wouldn't change the fact it's a non sequitur. In fact, that's a basic rule called monotonicity. Adding new premises won't change whether an argument's valid or. Well, if you're gonna add, unless you're gonna add is like. Well, if you're gonna, what you're gonna do is, unless you add premises that introduce connectives between the premises and conclusion, then we will never adding any amount of premises the way you've already been doing won't do anything.
But I was gonna attempt to do that with one more premise.
Okay.
And that would be Jesus claims to be God.
Okay, well, you said you were attempting to do what I just explained, and you didn't do at all what I explained. What I was just explaining is the premises don't even have connectives. So Jesus is God, or claims to be God, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, doesn't change the fact this is a non sequitur. So it's a non sequitur. We can make this valid by just making these a bunch of conditionals or something. You know, like, do you understand, like, if P then Q, P therefore Q, how that's valid? Like, if I have a leash, then I have a dog. I have a leash, therefore I have a dog. How the conclusion actually follows from the premises. Okay, sounds like, are you driving now?
Sorry, I was turning my car on. Can you hear me right now, though?
Are you driving though?
No, I just turned my car on because it's hot in here. I'm just sitting.
Okay, well, you can't be driving on TikTok. So, I don't know how we're going to make this valid. There's easy ways to do it, but working with you is going to be nevertheless super complicated.
Am I making it difficult to work with me? I'm trying to be honest with you. I don't understand.
Well, you can try and still be difficult, so it's not a matter of.
How am I making it difficult?
Well, you're not understanding anything. That's what makes it difficult. It's hard to talk with someone who's completely inept.
Okay.
So, do you
So
understand if I
these,
just said,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a leash, the leash is blue, therefore I have a dog, the conclusion doesn't follow?
You said I have a leash. The leash is blue, therefore I have a dog. Yeah, it does not follow.
But if I had the premises, if I have a leash, or if I have a blue leash, then I have a dog. I have a blue leash, therefore I have a dog. That follows?
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, this doesn't follow in the same way with the I have a leash. The leash is
I
blue.
think okay.
It's
Yeah, I
that
get
same
it.
thing.
I think I understand. So if I were to say, if there is a God, and if humans sin, and if He wanted humans to have, I guess, a redemption for their sin, He would give us something for that. Does that follow or no? Like if there was a God, and if He really did not want to
That
punish
wouldn't
all of
follow to the
humanity,
conclusion, no, because that doesn't say anything about the conclusion, so of course it wouldn't follow. If the consequent, when you do an if then, if P then Q, if the Q
yeah.
there was this, then of course it would follow. Unless what you want to do is make a you could just make these all into if thens. So if this, then this.
I mean, you help me. I mean, you know more about this than I do. So how would it make sense? I'm trying to make this make sense to you.
Do you just want to say if all this, then the conclusion? Do you want to just say that?
Is that valid for you, or
I don't know what valid for me means.
like I
It's
already
just the
have
way
the
that the
evidence?
argument would follow. Valid doesn't have anything to do with whether I believe them or even if they're true. Valid just means the argument structure is one where the conclusion follows. Like I can believe you have a leash and it's blue, but the argument, I have a leash and it's blue, therefore I have a dog, just doesn't follow whether or not I believe those or whatever. Has nothing to do, even with they're true. It could be true both I have a dog and I have a blue leash, but the argument just doesn't follow. We're talking about whether the argument follows, not whether it's valid for me. The point is,
Okay.
we could just do this. We could say all this, therefore
Yeah.
this. Do you want to just do that? I think that's the easiest way.
Sure.
Okay, if Jesus lived a sinless life and taught good, still used ethics, and he died on the cross and resurrected and claimed to be God, then just copy and paste the conclusion. I just copy and paste this conclusion.
Okay.
Okay, now it's valid. Why would I ever accept the first premise?
How would you
Let's go back
accept it?
to- Yeah, what's the justification for it?
I guess the justification I would say is that Jesus, one, is historically verified as a person by secular and religious texts.
I'm not gonna
So
lie,
we
this is
can
not
at
going
least.
anywhere. We could just stop here. With your response, it's just you
I don't understand.
I know you don't understand. There's like no point in like talking with someone who just. It's like, how can I actually have a conversation with someone like this? Why is it I get like the worst incredible guest imaginable? Oh my god. How long have I been live? I've been live for just about to make 3 hours. Guys, should I keep trying to talk with people? Because we're getting guests, but we're not getting guests we can have conversation with. Yeah, just go, like, don't have these conversations. Really, it's not possible that if you're just not equipped with having this conversation, you don't even know how to reason. Like, you literally just don't know how to reason. I can't talk with you. Thanks for the hats, fellow dragon. Very much appreciated. People on YouTube, get the like, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support me, feel free to reach the gift goal, or gift at least, and come talk on Discord. The Discord's pinned. We don't have anyone on Discord, so if you do want to talk, give arguments, evidence, I'll take a few questions at best. If you want to do any of that, join the Discord, raise your hand on stage. Don't just sit in the audience on the stage. There's people who just watch for some reason on stage. If you want to talk, you have to raise your hand so I know that you want to. During a blunt rotation, bro. I don't know how I can make it dumber. Like, when you say talk to them like 5-year-olds, I don't know how I can simplify it anymore with these people. It's just like certain people, it's just not really possible. I talk with them. You know, like, to be fair, Gojo is one of those people. It's just literally not possible I get anywhere. Good engagement at what cost? That's what's up. Yeah, that's right. True. Just keep interacting, guys. I believe in y'all. Y'all could get the likes up and we could get... Right now, we don't have anyone in the queue. But I believe y'all could do better. You can interact and get better guests up here. Just share, repost, and just keep double tapping. Get to, I don't know, 75k likes in the next 3 minutes. We got over 100 people. Yo, thank you, Evan, for the hat. Larpington, thank you for the hat, too. Very much appreciated. How much to permanently ban Russell? I don't know. I kind of like having Russell. How much would I... If you really wanna, I don't think I want to do too much because he is Russell. It's not like a big deal. I'll do $25 if you wanted a cool 50. I don't know. Should I do 50? I feel like that's too much for Russell. Maybe I'll do 35. You want me to ban Russell? We'll do 35. But yeah, that's up to you. Do you really want to spend 35 to get out Russell? If you do, I'm not gonna lie on my word. But how about a Galaxy? No. How about, I mean, no, I won't do a Galaxy. Actually, I won't even do $35. That's way too much. Yeah, I'll just do 25. Y'all gotta keep interacting though. This Bane guy got cooked by me. You got embarrassed, bro. You're like pathetic. If you want, you could get like completely waffle stomped again if you want to come debate. He just banned me? If you were banned, you couldn't see the live. You're not banned. What? What in the world? You're not even muted because you're talking in the chat. What are you talking about? You're banned. You mean you're not on the panel? I kicked you from the panel? Yeah, because you weren't capable of going anywhere. Not... I don't know what burst on my ban. Bane got blown out back to back by Quana and Blitz. That's no surprise. I also like completely dogged on him. It was embarrassing. His behavior is so cringe too. He's like one of those really arrogant, almost rhetorician people, and he has no substance to back it. I don't know where people get their inflated egos from. But keep interacting. Hopefully, we don't got anyone up, do we? I mean, Not that we got anyone up, obviously. We don't got anyone up. People on YouTube, get the likes up. Come on, y'all gotta interact. Join the Discord. We get 100 people on YouTube. If you want to come talk, join the Discord. Also subscribe and try and reach the gift goal, I guess. Joe's conversion to Catholicism. It was obviously going to happen. I don't really care about Joe. I don't know why people keep asking, like, bro, Joe was never even an atheist, so he was an agnostic. And he was always very clearly, and even he said explicitly, sympathetic towards theism. He's actually been a closeted theist for almost a full year. And I've already knew before his publicity, he's actually, I forgot where, but I already knew, given the people I'm like in cahoots with, certain philosophers and stuff like Linford, Malpass, and Jack, and people were associated with people like Muse and whatever else in Venus. So I knew for a couple months, I would say, like 2-3 months or something like that. I already knew he was a theist. I've already knew he like announced it like privately. So I already been, this is not new information to me. I didn't know he was Catholic. I didn't know he was. In fact, I don't remember if he said he was Christian. Maybe it was he said he was Christian. I just knew he was a theist. But maybe he did say Christian. I don't remember. But yeah, I most definitely didn't know he's a Catholic. So I guess it's not entirely nothing new. There is something new, I guess. In fact, he's at least Catholic. And I guess it is information he's Christian, because I don't, at least the fact I don't remember it is informative. Theist is fine, but Catholic is silly. I agree. Well, I mean, yeah, theist is silly, but yeah, Catholic is. Christian, Catholic, wow, that's bad. That's real bad. Like the fact you're a religious theist at all is just mind-boggling. To like buy into like a religious god is actually lunacy. Like even believing in God in general is like, I can't even imagine you getting to that conclusion. But religion of any type is just bad. It's not saleable. But yeah, you gotta keep interacting, get the likes up. I'm not gonna be on for that much longer, at best 30 minutes or something. I'm gonna be on Minecraft per usual again, well, now that we normally do it. This is fake. What is this dude sending me? This shit is fake. Yeah, what's going on? We don't got nobody here. Let's not let the live die. Keep interacting. We could get people up. You just gotta do your work. It's not that hard to just keep tapping a couple times. Yeah, we don't got nobody on Discord. Apparently everyone's too scared to talk on Discord. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube. I'll say that again. And follow me here, I guess, on TikTok. I go live regularly. Like, regularly. Thing is, I have school starting next week, so we'll see how often I'm going to be live. I have no clue. I can't even estimate, but I should still be live. Nah, I don't know. I should. Well, I'm going to be alive at least once a week for sure, I would say. But come on, if we don't get someone in the next 10 minutes or something like that, I'll give it like maybe 10 minutes. Live for another 3 hours, bro. I would literally die. I would die talking with these people. You don't understand. Okay, this hat is a bit tight for one, so kind of hurts my head. Like when I get angry and I'm getting loud, and literally, unironically, there's like stuff these people have been saying that literally, I literally feel my head start to hurt. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not being hyperbolic. After the toll, it kind of like accumulates after people. So yeah, my brain's killing me. I haven't ate either, and it's the afternoon. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I only drank coffee this morning. So you can imagine I would die. I don't know of what, stroke or something. Stroke from like intellectually. I don't even know. I get a stroke from hearing some of the dumbest things ever, or something like that. I would not survive another 3 hours. It's crazy. The longest I've done before, I think actually I've done a 7-hour live before. I think I've done once. But I think that live was a good live because there's no way I could. It was like 7 hours like this or even close. I would end the live sincerely if it keeps going like this. I will. But yeah, we're going to wait 10 minutes. Y'all going to keep interacting and hopefully we can get somebody up and who's decent as opposed to everyone because we haven't gotten a single decent guest, no joke. Yesterday's live was pretty decent. This live is descent, not decent, descent to hell. Maybe this is evidence for theism, hell on earth. Schopenhauer? No. So hopefully we can get somebody. But if not, I'm going to end this live. I'm going to eat, rest up a bit, and then hopefully I'll play Minecraft. I'm not going to go live again after what I've been enduring. 12 hours?
Peace.
Joe, what's up?
What's happening?
What do you got? You got evidence arguments God exists?
Yes, I would say the millions of testimonies are in fact evidence.
Ew, classical philosophy. What a waste of time. Okay. Testimonies of what exactly?
I would say part of life is getting to know God.
Okay, well,
so you're just in that stage of where you don't know him.
Okay, let's just please be really focused and not just kind of get distracted. Let's not be sheep. I know you got a shepherd. God's your shepherd. Let's not be sheep. So you said testimony. Okay, testimony of what? What's the contents of the testimony in question? Like if people say give testimony, they have socks. Surely that's not the testimony.
No, testimony of God being active in their life.
Okay, how is this testimony evidence of God?
Because
either
when God gets active in people's lives, he makes it so overwhelmingly apparent that people turn their lives over to him.
Are you a Christian?
Of course.
So when people give testimony of Allah being active in their life, is that evidence for Islam?
Of who?
For Islam. Allah, the Muslim God.
Yeah.
Okay. But then what you get is you get confirmation for mutually exclusive propositions.
Now, I'm not denying that other gods exist.
I thought you're a monotheist.
No, there's obviously one true God. The God, the Father.
When you say there's one
that
true
don't mean
God,
that there aren't imitators.
I'm confused.
Muhammad is simply a false prophet.
You're not making sense here. If you could just like please work with me. If that's evidence for Allah and Allah's a God, so he's the creator of the universe, surely what's not going on is Yahweh and Allah like work together Voltron style and make the universe. They're mutually incompatible. They're stating two different things are doing the same one action. So it can't be, it's evidence for both because then you get evidence for opposite conclusions, right?
Right.
Unless you want to say, I mean, it could be, but I just want to clarify to you, if this type of thing is evidence for that thing, what you get is you get evidence for all types of
People
gods. Is that
know
fine?
of Allah through Muhammad. People know Muhammad existed
Okay,
through
but hold on,
the
hold on. Don't.
testimonies of Muhammad.
This doesn't matter
People know
though.
Jesus existed
Hold
through the
on.
testimonies of Jesus.
Hold on. I said this 3 times, please. Stop getting distracted by stuff. Just focus on what I'm asking you. Do we want to concede that this is evidence fairly for Islam? So what we have is evidence for mutually exclusive gods. We're getting just a bunch of evidence for all types of incompatible gods? Or do we, because it could be, you have to do one of 2 things. Acknowledge, yeah, I mean, it's really quite implausible that this is evidence. This is some degree of confirmation for a bunch of mutually exclusive gods, or, you know, and it's implausible such that it's not evidence for one or the other. It's just not evidence, or else you get it's evidence for all of them, or you can admit it's evidence for all of them. So I'm just asking you, which horn are you taking?
I completely lost what you're saying. The first command is don't have no
I'm
other
not asking
gods
you
other
that.
than me.
I'm not asking. Okay, don't tell me
If
stuff
that answers your
that
question.
doesn't answer. You just said you don't know what the question is, so don't just say stuff if you don't know the question. Look, I'm asking you. You have one of 2 options: to admit something like it's implausible that this is some degree of confirmation for a bunch of mutually exclusive gods, so it's not evidence for any of them, or you would have to admit it is evidence for a bunch of mutually exclusive gods. So I'm just asking, which of the 2 are you saying?
Yes, it is evidence of a bunch of mutually exclusive gods.
Okay. So if it's evidence for a bunch of mutually exclusive gods, then the question is, how is it actually not any evidence for God? Because if they correspondingly all increase, but for one to increase means the other decreases, how could that even be? It seems like to me, it just, you know, violates axioms of probability. If something's evidence for the Islamic God, then the evidence of the Christian God goes down. But if they both go up, then they both correspondingly go down. So then the probability actually doesn't change.
What I just said. There are other gods. You shall have no other gods other than the true God. It's the
I've
first
heard
commandment.
this, but
I
this
get what you're
doesn't
saying.
respond. So
You're saying
you
other
understand is
gods
fine, but the point
decrease
is,
you just said other gods decrease the probability of true God.
the Christian God. Yeah, you're not understanding.
And I'm
What is the point I'm
agreeing
making? What is the point I'm making?
that you're trying to say that Christian God don't exist because there's other mutually exclusive gods.
You're not understanding the point. The point I'm making is, if it's evidence for one, then it's evidence against the other proportionately. And then if I have the exact amount of evidence for its negation, then it's proportionally evidence for that thing's negation, which was the first thing. So then what you get is the probabilities actually never changed. There isn't this thing that it's evidence for both. There's not evidence for either, because the probabilities remain where they were if they both increase and decrease at the same rate.
All right, yeah.
If I move a ball an inch forward, then move it an inch backwards, I'm in the
We're
same
getting
place I
nowhere.
started. Do you agree?
I think we just got to go in a new direction on that one.
Do we understand that?
Sure.
Okay, so if that's true, then it couldn't be evidence for all of them. That's not possible. Because to say it's evidence for all of them means they all increase in probability. But for one to increase in probability results in the other decreasing. So that would result in the probabilities being the same from the onset.
We know that Jesus and Christianity is the truth based on simply, you can tell the difference between a Christian and a Muslim based on their morals, ethics, and how they act, their fruits.
Okay, let's just go back to this because you're not going to get it. Let's just ignore that objection that completely diffused your stupid reasoning, and let's act as if I didn't just do that. let's just go back to the question about how is the testimony evidence that God exists?
Okay, other evidence other than the testimonies.
No, that's wow. You're really good at listening. I said not to give me new evidence that's not testimonial, to explain how the testimony is evidence.
Oh, how the testimony is evidence. Because people do complete 180s in their life.
Okay, and how's that evidence for the thing they give testimony on?
Because people don't change their lives around off, minor things that aren't real.
If the
God
claim is
is
that they don't
God
change
is
their life
hitting.
around for things that are not real, I would need
Yeah,
an
God
argument
is
for that, but
hitting
that's just obviously
everyone
false.
under the sun.
Yeah, that's just obviously false anyways, but yeah, so the question just is like, what's the argument for that? I mean, can we not agree that's just false? I mean, people's life changes when, all types of things like that are not real. I mean, imagine like collectors. There's people who collect Dragon Ball
Listen,
stuff.
there's millions of atheists that have all thought that they're logical and they're scientific,
This is going to
and
be relevant, or is it not?
they got. Let me explain, because you're no different than millions of billions of people that have sat in your shoes before
you
you.
go about saying what you're saying, explain the relevance of what you're about to say.
I'm trying to.
No, because
There are.
What do you mean? Hold on. Did you hear what I
It'll
just
be
said?
quick.
I don't care if it would be quick.
The relevance is at the end of the day, hopefully through God's grace, you're going to end up a Christian, just like millions of other atheists.
That's not relevant. Okay, that's not relevant. Now let's get back and not just spew random stuff. I'm glad you hope I become Christian. Can we just engage with where we are? The question, look, we got to be honest. It's obviously true. You can believe and have your life change for things that are not real. Can we at least acknowledge that?
Sure.
Okay, so it doesn't follow. It's not implied from the fact that their life changes, that the thing that their life changes in virtue of believing exists. So how do we get the fact they have testimony and their life changes, God exists, or some reason to think God exists?
Say it again.
How is the fact that their life changes and they have testimony a reason to think God exists?
Because everything changes. People don't just drop everything about their life.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna end this live. I'm done. I'm sorry. No, we're not doing that. I've been through so much pain. If someone on YouTube wants to be a good ass guy and send me a gift, I would love that. If not, I'm just gonna end this live now. I'm sick of this. This is horrible. This is one of the worst lives I've ever done. I've talked to chimpanzees, bonobos this entire live. Probably even less than that, honestly. So I hope my algorithm is not like this tomorrow and changes for the better. God is clearly striking me down with the guests I'm getting. This is his strategy to have me stop doing lives, I guess. So perhaps we have a degree of evidence for theism in terms of me getting Neanderthals. Well, less than that. So yeah, I'm going to take a break for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. I'm going to eat, chillax, watch shows, decompress. Because I don't know what the fuck I just bared. I got to get this weight off my shoulders. Then I'm probably going to play Minecraft with the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. We play Minecraft somewhat regularly now, I guess. We can take up to 20 players, though I actually wouldn't want 20 players because it would be way too chaotic. I think it's better with a smaller group, but if you want to play, join. I'll announce it if I do decide officially to go and when. So yeah, see you tomorrow and or see you later if I could do Minecraft. I'm not taking a single more guest. Adios. Have fun. It's honestly shocking. I'm not even sure how you made it this far without screaming at these people, though. Yeah, I agree. It's my God. All right, peace out, gang. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I forgot to say this. Everyone, go to my newest YouTube video and interact, please. Give my news video a comment and like. No one has interacted with it. I don't know what's going on. And I like went live an hour and 30 minutes after it played. It's underperforming, as every video has been for some reason. So just go give it a like and comment. It's actually better than this live. So if you thought you wasted your life, if you think you wasted your time watching this and you want to watch actually good debate, you can watch that new video, because unfortunately this is not that. This is what I expected that video to be. I thought I was going to get guests like that video, but unfortunately not. Not to say that the guests in that video are very good either, but if you want something more enjoyable, definitely check that out. You know, watch it. It helps the watch time, which helps the algorithm. But the very least you could do is click on it, give it a like, give it a comment, and use the hype feature. Seriously, please do that. Don't just ignore me. I need my algorithm to do good. We want to grow, right? We want to see me debate better guests, get more guests consistently. That happens when you interact with the videos. Then my channel grows. So let's help each other. I will get better guests if I grow. And also there'll be less filler, you know, waiting for guests if I grow. So please do so. And yeah, check out the Patreon, check out the merch. This is not actually going to be Patreon exclusive. Well, in a sense it will be, because I don't think this will make YouTube by any means. So not every video that's considered exclusive on or not exclusive, not every video that's not considered exclusive on Patreon is on YouTube, obviously, right? Because I like make videos out of certain lives. So there's a bunch of stuff like this that are Patreon exclusive technically, but there's videos that are designed even before I start streaming that no matter what happens here, there's going to be Patreon exclusive. Right now I have 8 videos from the past week, 8 streams from the past week that are Patreon exclusive, and I've been doing much longer streams. I have like 2 streams that are 4 hours long. So if you want to check those out, definitely subscribe to the Patreon, buy the merch. It supports me, whatever else, yada yada. The least you could do is, you know, interact with my newest video on YouTube. Other than that, have a great day. I hope you can find something better than get a headache like me talking to imbeciles.